Chapter 8:20. Humph. You're gossiping again. While the two cultivators were laughing, a woman with a graceful figure and an enchanting face approached them with a displeased expression. Greetings, third madam. The two cultivators immediately stopped laughing and bowed respectfully. The first master asked you to keep watch outside, but you're chatting here. If you delay the first master's important matter, you'll have to bear the consequences. The third madam said coldly. Please rest assured, third madam. The two of us will do our best to fulfill the first master's orders. We won't dare to be careless. Yes, yes, yes. The two cultivators nodded and bowed, speaking one after the other. In at most an hour, the door below will open. The first master has been operating in the outer sea of Gourd Bay for many years. It's better for us to be more careful today, the third madam said. Of course, the two cultivators agreed. One of you go to the east and the other to the west. Keep a close watch. If anything happens, I'll go and help. The third madam waved her hand and ordered. After the two cultivators obeyed and flew away, the third madam narrowed her eyes and looked around. Then, she floated down and blocked the entrance of a cave that was only as tall as a person. At this moment, Ling had already turned invisible and flew back to stand behind the third madam. It seems that this group of cultivators has already discovered that there are treasures here. There must be many experts in the depths of the cave. Ling pondered for a moment and then quietly walked into the depths of the cave. After carefully moving forward for about an hour, Ling arrived at the end of the winding cave and saw a wide iron door. In front of the iron door, there were more than 10 experts with cultivation bases above the level of Mantis. They surrounded the iron door and formed a strange fan-shaped array. At the top of the fan-shaped array, there was a black stone that emitted an evil aura. The power of the array formed by more than 10 experts all struck the black stone, causing waves of black fog to continuously surge out. Under the control of the formation, the black fog continuously drilled into the gap of the iron gate. The black mist should have an extremely strong corrosive power. After it entered the door, the iron surface of the door would emit a sizzling sound. When Ling arrived, the gap in the door was already 1 foot wide. If it was a little wider, it would allow one person to pass through. Of course, 4 cultivators, even if it was half a foot wide, they would still be able to squeeze through. However, this iron gate was clearly not ordinary, so these cultivators did not dare to force their way through. When the black stone shrunk by half again, the great iron gate suddenly trembled, and a huge force surged out at the same time. In an instant, the formation formed by the group of cultivators was broken, and the few cultivators were all sent flying. Other than the leader, the rest of the cultivators were all pale, and blood flowed from the corners of their mouths. Linger was quite a distance away from the iron gate, so the force did not affect her much. The large iron gate trembled violently before slowly opening, revealing a door that was over 10 feet wide. Congratulations, First Master! You've finally succeeded. After obtaining the treasures inside, Great Master will definitely be like a tiger that has grown wings, and reach the peak of perfection in the world of immortals. After 100 million years of hard work, the hard times are over and the good times are coming. All of our efforts were not in vain. Looking at the iron gate that had already opened, the group of cultivators appeared to be gratified and happy. Everyone, please stand guard outside for me. When I obtain the treasures inside, everyone will have a share. A cultivator who seemed to be middle-aged with a tall and sturdy figure waved his hand to stop everyone from laughing. Then, he said, we have already reached the final step, so we must not make any mistakes or negligence. There is no danger inside, but we need to be careful outside. I hope everyone can help me guard the final step. Great Master, you can rest assured. As long as we are here, no other cultivators will disturb Great Master from obtaining the treasures. We will do our best. All the cultivators responded in unison, and all of them had an incomparably loyal appearance. The Great Master smiled with satisfaction. Then, he turned around and passed through the door, disappearing from everyone's sight. The remaining cultivators glanced at each other, and began to walk with their mysterious footwork, as if they were going to form another formation. Naturally, Ling-Er had already followed the first master into the room. Behind the large iron gate there was actually nothing strange about it. It was the scene of a small karst cave. There was a small pool in the karst cave, but the water in the pool was light green, and looked very shallow. In the middle of the pool there was also a lotus platform. However, what Ling-Er didn't expect was that this karst cave was actually incomparably cold. It was actually able to freeze her, who was hiding her figure, into a woman's silhouette. The Great Master seemed to have already prepared for this. When he entered, his entire body was already enveloped in a layer of flame. That layer of flame helped him temporarily block the freezing aura. The Great Master, who was very cautious, saw Ling-Er's silhouette. He let out a strange cry, and then, he slapped his palm over. The woman's frozen silhouette was mercilessly shattered. However, the Great Master's palm slapped an empty space, as if he had slapped a thin layer of ice. The Great Master carefully observed his surroundings, but he didn't find anything. He didn't dawdle any longer and immediately leaped toward the lotus platform in the middle of the pool. However, just as he moved, a nebula fog appeared out of nowhere. In an instant it filled the entire cave. Under the nebula fog, the Great Master found that his divine consciousness and vision were all blurred. After all, this cave wasn't very big. He could determine the position of the lotus platform based on his previous senses. However, just as he flew to the position he sensed, he was hit on the side by a palm. The power of that palm wasn't very strong. It couldn't hurt him, but it was enough to send his body flying. "Who's causing trouble here?" the Great Master roared angrily. In the next moment, he released his aura with all his might. The nebula fog was swept away by his aura. However, at this moment, not only the lotus platform, but even the pool of light green liquid had disappeared. "Guard the iron gate!" The Great Master's berserk aura wreaked havoc in the entire cave. The cultivators outside had heard the commotion inside long ago. However, they all thought that it was the Great Master who had created the commotion by taking out the treasure. Now that they heard the Great Master's shout, they became nervous. The lotus platform and the pool of light green liquid were naturally swallowed by Ling-Er first. She then rushed toward the iron gate, wanting to leave as soon as possible. However, the dozen or so cultivators had already formed a formation outside the iron gate. As soon as she came out, a huge force wrapped around her like a huge net. Not only did it reduce her speed to the minimum, it also exposed her body. The Great Master also came out of the cave. Naturally, the formation wouldn't restrict him. He saw Ling-Er's position and rushed over with a ferocious expression. This Great Master was an astral-reaching realm expert. In addition, he had a dozen or so Nirvana realm experts helping him. Ling-Er was trapped in a special formation. She was obviously in danger. At this critical moment, she remembered her heavenly eye technique. Therefore, she didn't dodge the Great Master's attack. Instead, she waited for the Great Master to come closer and opened her heavenly eye. Not good. As an astral-reaching realm expert, the Great Master naturally knew the power of the heavenly eye. However, he was too angry just now. His hand gestures were like thunder. Even if he wanted to stop now, it would be hard for him to do so. Moreover, there was a powerful devouring power on his body. Without any surprise, the Great Master was sucked into the nether realm. Ling-Er suddenly felt some regret. She had sent an astral-reaching realm expert into the nether realm. If Xiao Lingyu and Big Sister Gu couldn't beat this guy, wouldn't she have invited a wolf into the house? The nether heavenly eye's powerful devouring power not only swallowed the Great Master, but also destroyed the formation. Ling-Er didn't regret anything. She immediately rushed out. After all, she was a true Nirvana realm expert. Her strength was only below the astral reaching realm. Those cultivators who hadn't even reached the astral reaching realm naturally couldn't stop her. At this moment, the third madam was still blocking the entrance of the cave. Suddenly, she felt a powerful aura rushing at her from behind. She was shocked. Just as she turned around, she saw a stunning woman less than 30 meters away from her. Before she could react, a nebula-like mist surged toward her. Then, she felt the world spin, and her body was swept away by the mist and sent flying far away. Linger quickly flew to the sky above the deserted island. Then, she turned invisible and flew into the distance at a leisurely pace. Linger was safe. However, Xiao Lingyu and Big Sister Gu met with an accident in the Nether Realm. After the Great Master was swallowed into the Nether Realm, he wasn't far from Xiao Lingyu and Big Sister Gu. When the two sides met, they both retreated a certain distance. Their faces were filled with vigilance. You two must have been trapped here by that witch's heavenly eye technique, right? The Great Master said matter-of-factly. Yes. Xiao Lingyu was about to speak when Big Sister Gu spoke first. In that case, we can be considered the enemy of the enemy. We can barely be considered friends. The Great Master saw that Big Sister Gu's cultivation wasn't low, so he wanted to rope her in. He had no intention of fighting here. You can say that. Big Sister Gu nodded. Then, do you two know where this is? Is there a way to leave? The Great Master asked anxiously. This is the Nether Realm. After being sucked in, there is only one way to leave. That is to lose your vitality and cultivation. Big Sister Gu was telling the truth. When the Great Master heard this, his face immediately darkened to the extreme. After pondering for a long time, the Great Master asked again, Are you sure this is the Nether Realm? The Nether Realm that belongs to the Nether Realm Ancestor? Since you know about the Nether Realm Ancestor's Nether Realm, you should know that I'm not lying. Big Sister Gu said indifferently. If it's really the Nether Realm, perhaps I have a way to get out. Of course, I'll need your help. The Great Master explained. Now that the Nether Heavenly Eye is no longer with the Nether Realm Ancestor, it proves that the Nether Realm Ancestor has died on the ancient star path. This Nether Realm is definitely not as powerful as it used to be. I know a secret technique that can get us out of this hopeless situation. Although the price is higher, it's better than being trapped here forever. Chapter 8:21. Xiao Lingyu and Big Sister Gu were astute people. Naturally, they could guess that the Netherworld Heavenly Eye had already been obtained by Ling'er. And this middle-aged astral realm expert who had just been devoured was definitely Ling'er's enemy. The demonic woman he spoke of was definitely Ling'er. Ling'er's enemy was naturally also the enemy of Xiao Lingyu and Big Sister Gu. However, this middle-aged cultivator didn't know that Xiao Lingyu and Big Sister Gu were actually Ling'er's relative. He thought that Xiao Lingyu and Big Sister Gu had also been trapped in the Nether Realm by Ling'er using the Netherworld Heavenly Eye. Big Sister Gu, who also didn't want to fight to the death with an astral realm expert in the Nether Realm, was also happy to beat him at his own game. I have to inform the two of you first. If I use that secret technique of mine after we go out, we will be in an extremely weak state. After we go out, we will immediately face that demonic woman. So, the two of you must promise me that after we go out, we will work together and deal with that demonic woman first. How about it? The Great Master asked. Of course. We have been trapped here by that demonic woman for a long time. We have long wanted to go out and kill her. Big Sister Gu nodded, her face full of sincerity. This secret technique is very easy to use, but we need to wait for an opportunity. We need to wait for that demonic woman to stop moving around outside. Moreover, we need to wait for a period of time in between. The Great Master first explained, then sat cross-legged in the void. He began to chant an awkward incantation, and set of hand seals flew out from his 10 fingers. Perhaps because he was worried about Xiao Lingyu and Big Sister Gu, when the Great Master was casting the secret technique, he didn't let down his guard at all. After Ling Er left the deserted island, she kept flying. During this time, she also took out the lotus seat, which was obviously of high quality, and examined it. Unfortunately, her knowledge wasn't wide enough. She couldn't tell what kind of treasure this lotus seat was, and couldn't make it recognize her as its master. As for the light green liquid, she felt that it was fragrant and enticing. At the same time, it was also cold. She didn't dare to casually drink a mouthful of such a special liquid. Ordinary treasures, pills, and materials were basically useless to Ling Er, who had a special physique. After wandering around the Gourd Bay for more than 100 years and obtaining many treasures, Ling Er finally found an ancient tome. Its contents were all about the various heavenly eyes and abilities. It not only did it introduce the netherworld heavenly eye, but there were also detailed descriptions of the other heavenly eyes. And heavenly eye, it had heavenly eyes. And the heavenly eyes. And heavenly eyes. One heavenly eyes. Heavenly eyes. A heavenly eye. In this way, it was almost impossible for Ling Er to completely master the netherworld heavenly eye in a short period of time. She also had to wait for some time before she could release Xiao Lingyu and Big Sister Gu. Ling Er, who was worried about her sisters in Gourd City, decided to go back and take a look. Her sisters and children had the right to know how their husbands and fathers were doing. After searching for treasures, Ling Er spent another 50 years before she once again set foot on Gourd Island. After leaving for 300 years, Gourd Island and Gourd City hadn't changed much. Ling Er was expressionless as she walked through the North Gate. However, after entering Gourd City, Ling Er felt that the atmosphere in the city was a bit different. The city guards, who were usually listless and rarely seen, were not only everywhere, but they all had cold and serious expressions on their faces. It seemed like something big had either happened or was about to happen. Ling Er quickly walked towards the courtyard. She never expected that her courtyard would be surrounded by hundreds of city guards. The city guards all had their backs to the courtyard and stared at the passers-by with sharp eyes. They didn't allow unrelated cultivators to come within 1,000 feet of the courtyard. Halt, this place has been listed as a key protected area by the City Lord Manor. Please take a detour. When Ling Er approached, a city guard in the realm of physique stepped forward and waved his hand. Ling Er frowned and said, "I also belong to this courtyard." "Then please wait a moment." The city guard glanced at Ling Er again, then turned around and knocked on the courtyard's door. Myling walked out of the courtyard. After glancing at Ling Er, he immediately went up to her. Without saying much, Myling brought Ling Er into the courtyard. After closing the door, he asked, "Where are Brother Xiao and Big Sister Gu?" "They are trapped in a special place." At this time, the other relatives and friends also came up to them. Ling Er explained the situation in detail to everyone. After hearing Ling Er's words, everyone's anxious expressions became even more gloomy. "What happened?" Ling Er asked. "Not long after you left, our house was attacked repeatedly. Several groups of experts came. If it wasn't for Big Sister Gu's help in strengthening the formations and restrictions in the courtyard, and if it weren't for the timely arrival of the city guards, I'm afraid we would have met with misfortune," Anya said. "Is everyone all right?" Ling Er asked with a frown. Miaoying and Qing Xian were injured. They are both recuperating. Fortunately, the children were not hurt at all, Myling replied. "We are fine, but the city guards have suffered great losses. In those few attacks, at least 30 city guards were killed." The city lord's mansion and the city guards are very angry, which is why there is such a large formation outside the courtyard. Anya continued. "Even so, the other parties still sent a large group of assassins last night." "Who did it?" Ling Er asked with narrowed eyes. "I don't know. The city guards are investigating, But those assassins didn't leave behind any evidence, Miling said with a shake of his head. Who else could it be other than the Yun family? Ling'er sneered. The Yun family is the most suspicious, but they don't have the power and courage to do so, Miling replied. Mi Ling replied, last time, those assassins at the city gate were actually hired by the Sang family. Their purpose was to make us feel threatened and join the Sang family. The Sang family has their eyes on Brother Zhao's great strength and future. In that case, the Sang family is also suspicious, Ling'er said indifferently. Without wasting any more words, Ling'er first went to check on Miaoying and Qing Xian. Seeing that these two close sisters of hers were both pale and heavily injured, Ling'er actually revealed a cold smile. Ling'er's smile clearly contained a bit of killing intent. Sister-in-law Ling'er, don't be rash. Right now, the enemy is very powerful. It's better to wait until Brother Xiao and Big Sister Gu are released before making any plans. Miling saw that Ling'er's expression was not right, so he advised her. Hee, could it be that we have to rely on our husband to survive in the world of immortals? Ling'er replied with a smile. Then, she actually ignored the advice of her relatives and resolutely left the courtyard. After leaving, Ling'er immediately turned invisible. Less than 2 hours after Ling'er left, the sounds of fighting and miserable screams came from the Yun family's courtyard. Like a ghost, Ling'er killed her way into the Yun family. Every time she appeared, there would be a Yun family member lying down. As a result, after a Yun family member died, Ling'er would immediately turn invisible. No one would be able to see through her invisibility. The Yun family's patriarch was only at the Nirvana Soul Realm. Even if the Yun family hid a Nirvana Soul Realm expert, he was not worth mentioning in front of Ling'er. When the Yun family was attacked, the city guards and the city lord's mansion also sent out experts. However, even though the city guard commander and the city lord came along with hundreds of city guards, they still couldn't stop the Yun family from being massacred. The Yun family that had been powerful for countless years on Gourd Island also felt despair. At such a critical moment, the Yun family members that were still alive all chose to escape from the Yun family. Then, they panicked like stray dogs. In less than 4 hours, the mighty Yun family, which was a colossus in the eyes of the cultivators on Gourd Island, was destroyed just like that. All the Yun family members that didn't choose to leave the Yun family, including the Yun family's patriarch, were turned into corpses. The city lord and the city guard commander were both true Nirvana realm experts, but they could only occasionally see the shadows of the culprits. They couldn't track them down, let alone lock onto them. The furious Ling only used 4 hours to uproot the Yun family, turning the Yun family's courtyard into a graveyard. However, this was not the end. She then went directly to the Sang family. However, the city lord's mansion reacted quickly. After Ling'er killed dozens of Sang family members, Miling, Anya, and other friends and family members were invited to the Sang family. Under Miling and Anya's persuasion, Ling'er, who had already vented much of her anger on the Yun family, finally stopped. However, just as Ling'er stopped, the city lord of Gourd Island suddenly threw out a talisman. Ling'er was talking to Anya and was caught off guard. Normal attacks were useless against Ling'er, but when the talisman exploded on her body, it suddenly formed a mist that enveloped her. The mist surged and quickly gathered. When the mist completely disappeared, Ling'er turned into a female stone statue. The stone statue didn't look very impressive, but it trapped Ling'er inside. An invisible force bound her body tightly, making it impossible for her to move at all. City Lord, what is the meaning of this? Miling immediately asked. What is the meaning of this? She committed a massacre in the city, ignoring the rules of the city and the city lord's mansion. Am I supposed to pretend that I didn't see anything? The city lord said coldly. But if we didn't come just now, would you have been able to trap her? Anya was also very angry. On behalf of all the cultivators in the city, I thank the two of you for your righteousness. We will not implicate you in her crimes and will continue to strengthen the protection of your houses," the city lord said with a smile. "You!" Anya was so angry that she was about to attack, but Meiling pulled her back. "Sister-in-law Ling Er is special. The city lord's mansion and the city guards can't do anything to her. Even if they can trap her, they can't effectively kill her," Meiling transmitted to Anya. Anya thought about it and felt that Meiling's words made sense. However, she still asked, "City Lord, how do you plan to deal with her?" Chapter 822. In front of the gate of the Shisong family's mansion, there was a large square with a statue of a woman. Through the explanation from the mayor's mansion, everyone knew that the woman who had turned into a statue was the powerful warrior who had just turned the Yun family into a graveyard. Even if she could annihilate the Yun family by herself, she would not be able to escape the pursuit of the city lord's mansion. This was something that everyone knew. What everyone did not know was that the reason this female expert was captured here was because of the city lord's sneak attack. In order to protect the city's law and the inviolable image of the mayor's mansion, the mayor decided to kill this powerful warrior in public. After hearing the news, all the cultivators in the city gathered around. The city lord's mansion and the city guards had mobilized almost all of their experts. They had even invited the Sang clan and the Nirvana realm experts in the city. They surrounded the statue and set up an extremely powerful sealing formation. The mayor confidently said that unless it was an extreme astral realm warrior, there would only be death in this formation. Meiling and Anya were worried that their friends and family would lose their minds because of this, so they did not spread the news to the mansion. They only watched nervously and helplessly. Right now, Meiling had only just reached the Nirvana Heart Realm, and Anya was only at the peak of the immortal 9th celestial layer. Even with all the friends and family in the mansion, if everyone attacked together, it would only be suicide. It would be impossible to save Ling Er in front of so many powerful warriors. Could it be that they could only watch as Ling Er was killed by the sealing formation? Meiling and Anya were filled with regret. If they had not come to persuade Ling Er, how could she have stopped? How could the mayor's sneak attack succeed? It could be said that if something happened to Ling Er, Meiling and Anya would have to take full responsibility. Even if no one came to blame them, they would still be tormented by guilt and regret. Sooner or later, they would die under the attack of the Heart's Devil. After preparing for almost 3 days, the mayor personally took charge of the formation. Under his lead and command, all the powerful warriors began to chant spells and form hand signs. Suddenly, waves of powerful aura began to be released. The sound of thunder shook the sky, and the entire gourd city began to tremble. Boom! A clap of thunder boomed. Then, everyone saw a dazzling white bolt of lightning descend from the 9th heaven. It meandered like a dragon, bringing with it an incomparably ferocious aura of destruction as it ruthlessly slammed into the stone statue. The stone statue did not explode, but the lightning arc sank into the statue in an instant. The statue trembled for a moment, then stood firmly in the square, without the slightest bit of damage. From the looks of it, the lightning bolt from earlier had penetrated the incomparably sturdy stone layer and directly affected its interior. Following which, lightning bolts continuously descended from the 9 heavens, and all of them ferociously drilled into the stone sculpture. After a full 4 hours of bombardment, the stone sculpture was not damaged at all. However, it was unknown whether the female expert trapped inside was still alive or not. Everyone did not know, but the mayor was very clear that the woman inside the stone sculpture had not been killed. The mayor was very surprised. He knew the power of this formation. After 4 hours of continuous bombardment, even extreme Star Realm warriors would be severely injured inside. Cultivators below extreme Star Realm would definitely not be able to survive. However, right now, so many Nirvana Realm warriors had used up a lot of their energy and could not continue for long. Yet, the target of the bombardment was still alive. This made him a bit unsure of how to proceed. Let's stop here for today. Let us rest for a while, and then we will reactivate the formation. The mayor waved his sleeve and said. The meddlesome cultivators did not leave. They still surrounded the square, and the powerful warriors in charge of operating the formation all sat cross-legged to recover their energy. Before the city lord sat down to meditate, he took out a bead. His mouth trembled a few times before he put it away. After nearly half a month's time, everyone finally recovered. Under the mayor's control, the formation bombarded the stone sculpture for another 4 hours, but still, the woman inside the stone sculpture was not killed. They once again sat down to rest and recover. However, before everyone could fully recover, a cultivator wearing a brocade belt, embroidered robes, and 7 stars boots suddenly descended from the sky, landing beside the mayor. What was strange was that this cultivator, who did not go through the city gate and flew down from the sky, looked extremely young. However, the mayor immediately bowed when he saw him, with an incomparably respectful appearance. After the mayor and the young cultivator exchanged a few words, the young cultivator circled around the stone sculpture a few times, and then returned to the mayor's side saying, "The trapped woman is definitely not ordinary. If she hasn't reached extreme star realm, perhaps I can arrange a formation to destroy her. Then I'll have to trouble you, Marshal Uncle." The mayor bowed again. The young Marshal Uncle nodded, and then began to arrange the formation around the stone sculpture. The formation was quickly arranged, and the young Marshal Uncle ordered all the Nirvana Realm cultivators to enter the formation again to occupy their positions, and taught them the corresponding techniques and incantations. Once everyone was in position, he let out a soft shout and activated the spirit formation he had set up. However, just as the formation exploded with a series of rumbles and was about to display its power, the stone sculpture suddenly exploded. Pieces of stone flew in all directions, immediately killing half of the surrounding Nirvana Realm cultivators, and the other half retreated with heavy injuries. How is this possible? The mayor was very surprised. The young Marshal Uncle also narrowed his eyes, and his expression was very doubtful. He knew what kind of magic the stone sculpture was formed from, and he also knew that no cultivator under extreme star realm could break it open. After the stone sculpture collapsed, there were 4 cultivators standing where the stone sculpture had been. Ling who had previously slaughtered the Yun family, was among them. As for the other 3, they were Xiao Lingyu, Big Sister Gu, and the First Master. They had just used a secret technique to escape from the Nether Realm. The 4 of them first looked at the situation around them. Before the mayor and the young Marshal Uncle could make a move, Xiao Lingyu and Big Sister Gu had already taken the initiative to attack the First Master, who was very close to them and was about to attack Ling. The distance was too close, and the First Master was caught off guard. Xiao Lingyu's destructive blood light and Big Sister Gu's full-strength palm both directly hit the First Master. The First Master didn't even understand the situation, and he lost his life. After using the secret technique, the First Master was very weak like Xiao Lingyu and Big Sister Gu. In addition, he didn't have time to defend himself, so it wasn't surprising that he lost his life. He could only blame himself for underestimating the situation. The sudden change in the plaza caused the surrounding cultivators to be incomparably shocked, but they still chose to temporarily retreat. Marshal Uncle, this. The mayor was at a loss. The young Marshal Uncle walked over with narrowed eyes, but shook his fist at Big Sister Gu and said in a strange tone, "Sister-in-law, I didn't expect to see you here." Big Sister Gu calmly glanced at the young Marshal Uncle and said, "Emochi, you've already parted ways with my husband, so you don't have to call me sister-in-law anymore. It's more appropriate for us to address each other as fellow Taoists." Emochi smiled and said, "Sister-in-law, you're wrong. In my heart, you'll always be my sister-in-law." Big Sister Gu sneered and said, "You don't even acknowledge Big Brother, and you still pretend to acknowledge me as your sister-in-law. I'm not as easy to deceive as my husband." Emochi shook his head helplessly and said, "It seems that sister-in-law's misunderstanding of us is still so deep. However, your sudden appearance today really gave me a fright." Big Sister Gu's expression didn't change. She asked, "What's the situation here?" Emochi pointed at Ling and said, "She just caused a bloody massacre in Gourd City, uprooting the old Yun family. I was just about to execute a spell to exterminate her as a warning to others." Big Sister Gu frowned and said, "She's my friend." This Emochi looked like he was in a difficult position at first, but then he laughed heartily and said, "Since it's Big Sister Gu's friend, this little brother naturally has to give Big Sister face. Big Sister, how do you think this matter should be handled?" Big Sister Gu said disdainfully, "It's just a small, insignificant family. If they're exterminated, so be it. What's the fuss about?" Emochi shook his head and said, "Big Sister, that's not right. Although they're just a small family, they're still in our Gourd City. They abide by the city's rules and have always paid taxes in full. They should be protected by us. They're being exterminated right here in Gourd City. If we don't do anything, won't our citizens be bitterly disappointed?" Big Sister Gu looked at Ling then shrugged at Emochi and said, "Then I won't interfere in this matter. If you have the ability, then capture and kill her." As soon as Big Sister Gu finished speaking, Ling Er's body disappeared into thin air. Emochi's expression immediately darkened. Although he had been in the extreme star realm for many years, he still couldn't find Ling Er's hiding place with his divine sense. In other words, the culprit that Emochi had just said he wanted to exterminate had slipped away right under his nose. The main culprit might be able to escape, but the accomplice cannot be let go. Emochi said hatefully, "Who's the accomplice?" Xiaoling Yu couldn't help but ask. "Of course it's her friends and family. Although they didn't participate in the massacre of the Yun family cultivators, they must have been part of the plan," Emochi said with certainty. "Truly, if you want to condemn someone, you can easily find a pretext. Could it be that Sir wants to use this groundless crime to arrest and convict them?" Xiaoling Yu asked. "Big Sister Gu, could this person be your friend as well?" Emochi asked Big Sister Gu. "Yes." Big Sister Gu nodded and said, "Seems like he's also the culprit's accomplice." Emochi said, "The way you do things now seems to be even more overbearing than before," Big Sister Gu said with a hint of mockery. "Big Sister Gu, you suddenly came here today and broke the seal on the culprit, saving the culprit. You seem to be even more overbearing than me," Emochi replied. Chapter 8:23. Emochi's expression changed again and again. It was obvious that his mind was racing. A moment later, he smiled and said, "Since Big Sister-in-law wants evidence, then I'll investigate this matter thoroughly before deciding on the punishment." Big Sister Gu replied, "That would be for the best." Emochi glanced at Xiaoling Yu again, then turned around and led the City Lord and the Grand Commander of the City Guards to the City Lord's manor. Big Sister Gu and Xiaoling Yu first met up with Meiling and Anya, then returned to the residence in the northern part of the city. "This is the storage treasure of the person we just killed. Take it." When they reached the entrance of the residence, Big Sister Gu took out a storage ring. "It was all thanks to Big Sister's powerful methods that we were able to kill that guy. Everything we obtained should belong to Big Sister. This time, we still have to thank Big Sister for speaking up for us. Otherwise, our family would probably have suffered a calamity," Xiaoling Yu said sincerely. Big Sister Gu put the storage ring away and said, "I'm afraid that there will be quite a bit of trouble waiting for us. Emochi might not give me face. He only saw that I was protecting you, and he was completely confident that he could defeat me easily. That's why we'll put this matter aside for now." "Then what should we do?" Xiaoling Yu asked. "You must leave Gourd City before Emochi's helpers arrive," Big Sister Gu replied. "But they've already sealed off the entire city. How can we leave?" Anya said. "Teleport away from the Awakening Tower," Meiling said. I'm afraid the Lord Steward won't agree. After all, if we leave the Awakening Tower, the Lord Steward will probably be held accountable, Xiaoling said worriedly. That's true. Meiling nodded. The mansion was still surrounded by a large number of city guards, but they did not stop Xiaoling and the others. After they entered the courtyard, Xiaoling and Big Sister Gu first looked at Miaoying and Qingxuan's injuries, and then Xiaoling said, "This matter shouldn't have been done by the Yun clan. After all, the Yun clan only has a few Nirvana realm cultivators, and they only have that little bit of wealth. They simply don't have the courage and capital to be so arrogant. It's not the Yun clan, and it's definitely not the Sang clan either. It's possible that it's the Heaven's Thorn. They have the strength and confidence to do so. However, aren't they afraid that the City Lord's Manor will send experts to eliminate them?" Big Sister Gu asked doubtfully. "Is it possible that it was done by cultivators from Blackwind Stockade?" Xiaoling asked again. After all, the Black Wind Stockade is not an assassin organization. Although the Black Wind Old Monster is very strong, his temperament is much more low-key than his nickname. Moreover, if the Black Wind Old Monster wanted to make a move, he could have directly entered the city without anyone noticing. This mansion won't be able to stop him. Most importantly, the Black Wind Old Monster is not someone who kills indiscriminately. Even if he wanted to take revenge, he would have directly come for you. He wouldn't touch your family members whose cultivation is still weak. After all, experts often have their own principles. Big Sister Gu shook her head. "AI, who knows where Ling is hiding now?" Xiaoling sighed. Little sister Ling was too impulsive. She actually wiped out the entire family in the city. If the City Lord's Manor doesn't do anything to hunt her down, it wouldn't be justifiable. Big Sister Gu smiled bitterly. Even if the attack on the mansion wasn't done by the Yun family, they would have plotted against us sooner or later. Ling should have wiped them out. Jiang Lanchang said hatefully. "There are many ways to wipe out the Yun family. There's really no need to be so direct." Big Sister Gu continued. At this moment, the manager of the Awakening Tower suddenly arrived. Previously, when something happened here, Lord Yu often came to visit. He even stayed here and fought with Meiling against strong enemies. It was clear that he was a very loyal person. "I just received a transfer order from the higher-up. I'm being transferred to another city's manager. Also, the higher-ups have already sent a colleague to take over the Awakening Tower here," Lord Yu said. "It seems that Emochi already knows that you two are close, so he must have contacted the higher-ups of the Awakening Tower." Big Sister Gu guessed. "That's not the case. Actually, they've already informed me of my transfer. However, it was only an intention in the past. They didn't give me a choice, so it was delayed again and again. Coincidentally, the new manager sent by the higher-ups just arrived in Gourd City today. That's why they sent me a message." Lord Yu shook his head and explained. "Then it's a coincidence." Xiaoling responded, then said, "Emochi might not make things too difficult for us, but if his helpers arrive, he'll definitely trap us in Gourd City forever. He might even imprison us and wait for Ling to deliver himself to him. Right now, there's only one path for us, and that is to force our way out of the city." Although Big Sister Gu frowned, she still said, "I'll help you stall Emochi. With Ling support, the City Lord and the City Guard Commander won't be a problem. We're not far from the North Gate. We shouldn't need too much fighting to force our way out. Lord Yu, in order to avoid unnecessary trouble, it's best that you don't interact with us too much right now," Xiaoling said kindly. Lord Yu nodded, then cupped his fists and left. Although he was righteous, he wasn't a brute. He could only help Xiaoling's family within the limits of what he thought was reasonable. He definitely wouldn't get involved in something like this that would offend a powerful faction. Xiaoling looked at Meiling again. Meiling smiled, revealing a row of small white teeth. He said, "I used to be very timid, and I'm still not that brave now. However, even if I die this time, Myling, will definitely accompany everyone. I won't back down. When Xiao Lingyu had just arrived at the Immortal Realm's Gourd City, Myling had helped him. However, Xiao Lingyu's subsequent repayment wasn't bad either. After so many years of being together, Myling, who had worked hard alone for so many years, had already integrated himself into this big family. Now that a great disaster was upon them, it was reasonable for him to want to share the trials and tribulations. Big Sister Gu stepped in to help Miao Ying and Qing Xian heal their injuries. Then, Xiao Lingyu and Big Sister Gu consumed high-quality medicinal pills to recover. After only 2 days, Xiao Lingyu and Big Sister Gu were the first to leave the residence. The city lord has ordered that before the case is verified, no one is allowed to leave this residence even half a step. A city guard expert who was in the realm of puppets said sternly. Unfortunately, what responded to this expert was Xiao Lingyu's ferocious palm strike. His body, which was still standing firm just now, was directly sent flying far away. The city guards surrounding the residence immediately rushed forward. However, they were at most at the 9th celestial layer of Immortal Realm. They couldn't stop Xiao Lingyu's cultivators. After all, there was still Big Sister Gu, who was in the extreme star realm. However, just as Xiao Lingyu's side made their move and rushed out of the residential area, the city lord and the city guard commander led thousands of city guards to reinforce them. The city lord and the city guard commander were both true Nirvana realm cultivators. Not to mention joining forces, just any one of them could easily defeat Xiao Lingyu. Big Sister Gu made her move. However, just as she did, Emochi appeared in front of her. "Sister-in-law, you're forcing me," Emochi said helplessly. "Just in time to see if you've improved over the years." Big Sister Gu smiled faintly. She didn't look too anxious. She knew that even if she tore down this gourd city, Emochi wouldn't be able to do anything to her. As for the other experts on Emochi's side, they would probably act as if they didn't see anything. Then this little brother will accompany you for a few moves. I hope you'll be merciful." Emochi first smiled and dealt with Big Sister Gu. Then, he shouted loudly, "Kill all these thieves who dare to cause trouble in the city." Yes. The city lord and the city guard commander led thousands of city guards in response. Emochi then started fighting with Big Sister Gu. In order to cover Xiao Lingyu and the others to kill their way out of the city and really hold Emochi back, Big Sister Gu didn't hold back. Her attacks were very fierce, and Emochi couldn't block them easily. Moreover, extreme astral realm experts couldn't fight in the city. Otherwise, the aftershock of their fight could easily turn the entire city into ruins. Fortunately, just as Big Sister Gu flew away with Emochi, Ling appeared. She first released a large nebula fog to envelop the city lord. Then, she flashed in front of the city guard commander and exchanged a palm strike with him. Ling Er's attack power might not be strong, but she was still a true Nirvana realm expert. Her various special abilities were quite threatening to normal Nirvana realm expert. Ling blocked 2 true Nirvana realm experts by herself, while Xiao Lingyu and Myling could easily deal with the other Nirvana realm city guard. Moreover, Xiao Lingyu had already taken out the Xianyuan sword. After completing the refinement of his body, he could already wield this ancient long sword at will. Wherever the Xianyuan sword's edge swept, a fierce sword light would be pushed out. Any city guard who was hit by the sword light would be directly cut in half on the spot. This long sword, which had been famous since ancient times, was now sharp and threatening, with an invincible might. And Ling who was dealing with 2 true Nirvana realm experts in the air, would occasionally wave her sleeves and scatter a large nebula fog to attack the city guard army blocking the city street. This helped Xiao Lingyu and the others to advance faster. Miao Ying, Qing Xian, and the other girls were all at the longevity 9th heavenly layer. Facing those city guards with the highest cultivation base of the longevity 9th heavenly layer, they naturally had extraordinary combat strength. After fighting like this for nearly 2 hours, Xiao Lingyu and the others finally rushed out of the north gate of Gourd City, as they wished. Along the way, they left behind the corpses of countless city guards, and some cultivators who were invited by the city lord died tragically on the spot. After rushing out of the city, Xiao Lingyu used the nebula fog released by Ling as a cover to summon the round arms-shaped flying magic weapon given by Big Sister Gu. Then, she led the others into the round arms bowl and made a hand seal to accelerate the round arms bowl's flight. The only ones in Gourd City who could intercept the round arms bowl magic weapon were the city lord, the city guard commander, and Emochi. However, the three of them were blocked by their respective opponents and could only watch as the round arms bowl flew further and further away, finally disappearing from their sight. Ling then turned invisible, no longer dealing with the two strong enemies. Emochi, you don't seem to be in the right state today. Big Sister Gu shook Missouri Chi off and said with dissatisfaction. Hee, I can't really fight with my life on the line, can I? Emochi also stopped and laughed unconcernedly. You seem to be deliberately holding back, only defending and not attacking. Could it be that you're deliberately letting them go? Big Sister Gu asked curiously. They don't have that much face, Emochi said meaningfully. Chapter 8:24. They definitely couldn't stay in this Gourd Bay any longer. There was no point in staying any longer. Under Xiao Lingyu's control, the round bowl-shaped treasure whizzed towards the Immortals' mainland. After flying into the Immortals' mainland, the round bowl didn't stop. Instead, it flew for an entire 3 days. Only when the round bowl was in the air above a barren mountain did Xiao Lingyu slow it down and descend. The escape route and the final stop location were all discussed long ago. Everything was within the plan. They only waited for 5 days. Big Sister Gu was the first to arrive. Ling arrived half a month later than her. Right now, we need to find a safe and hidden place to stay, Anya said. Emochi and the others won't chase after you. After all, you've already escaped, and they've already done their best. They're just trying to put on a tough front for the citizens of Gourd Bay to see. They want the citizens to know that they'll spare no effort to uphold the city's rules. Big Sister Gu said. This time, we really have to thank Big Sister Gu for helping us out. If it wasn't for Big Sister's help, we wouldn't have been able to escape the city at all. Xiao Lingyu sincerely thanked her. Hee, if I didn't bring you and Ling out to sea, these things wouldn't have happened. It's only right for me to help you out. No matter what, we're still in a cooperative relationship. I can't just watch you guys get captured and killed without getting anything out of it, right? Big Sister Gu laughed nonchalantly. Ling took out a storage pouch at the right time and handed it to Big Sister Gu. She said, During those years when you guys were trapped in the Nether Realm, I plundered the outer seas of Gourd Bay and obtained quite a few prescriptions. They're all stored in this storage pouch. Big Sister Gu's divine sense sank into the storage bag. Seeing that there were nearly 100 prescriptions inside, she couldn't help but be overjoyed. She couldn't wait to take out the prescriptions one by one and examine them carefully. Looking at Big Sister Gu's expectant expression, Xiao Lingyu felt that Big Sister Gu seemed to be looking for something. Then, she thought about how she was buying up lost prescriptions. She guessed that Big Sister Gu was looking for one or more lost prescriptions, so she cast her net to try her luck. Not bad, not bad. Here are more than 90 prescriptions worth nearly 2 billion yang crystals. According to our agreement, I will distribute them to you, Big Sister Gu. You don't have to share the yang crystals with us. I've been to those treasure troves, and I've obtained more than just prescriptions. I've also obtained many other treasures. The value of those treasures is definitely not less than the value of these prescriptions. Ling interrupted before Big Sister Gu could finish speaking. Hee, then I won't be polite. Big Sister Gu smiled and nodded. Only then did she put away the storage pouch. Floating Cloud City and Gourd City are controlled by a great power. In that case, we can't go to Floating Cloud City. Xiaolingyu frowned and said, continue to advance towards the northeast of the Immortals' mainland. Fly for about 20,000 years with my alms bowl, and you can reach the edge of the Heavenly Star Forest. If you guys hide there, not only can you avoid being hunted down by Gourd City, you can also avoid the Black-Wind Old Monster. Big Sister Gu suggested. 10,000 years? Jiang Lanchang said in surprise. This alms bowl is so fast. If it flies at full speed for 10,000 years, how long will it cover? Miao Ying was also very surprised. Actually you don't have to hide that far. In any case, it's better as long as you're as far away from Floating Cloud City as possible. Big Sister Gu then added, the great power that Emo-Chi belongs to controls the vast territory in the southwest of the Immortals' mainland. If they wholeheartedly want to hunt you down, you guys will still be in danger in their territory. That's why we suggest you guys hide at the edge of the Heavenly Star Forest. Not only is that place the edge of Emo-Chi's power, it's also the place they don't want to go the most. That place should be very dangerous, right? Jiang Lanchang asked. The Heavenly Star Forest is the largest forest in the Immortals' mainland. To put it bluntly, the entire central region of the Immortals' mainland is covered by the Heavenly Star Forest. It's also a place where cultivators don't dare to rashly set foot in. The Heavenly Star Forest is a primitive forest. It's said that it was formed together with the Immortals' world. There are countless Heavenly Star beasts entrenched there. They rarely come out of the forest. As long as you don't go too deep into the Heavenly Star Forest, you won't be in danger. However, the countless Heavenly Star beasts in the Heavenly Star Forest will rush out of the forest on a large scale every once in a while. Their army will sweep through the entire Immortals' mainland aside from the Heavenly Star Forest. They will sweep all the way to the seaside before stopping. That's why the closer they are to the Heavenly Star Forest, the fewer cultivators there will be. On the contrary, the sea that is far away from the Heavenly Star Forest is very prosperous. Big Sister Gu explained. We don't have to hide at the edge of the Heavenly Star Forest. If we find a suitable place on the way to the Heavenly Star Forest, we can also stop and rest for a while. Xiaolingyu said. I'll go back to Floating Cloud City to pack up first. After that, I'll look for you guys. You guys can set off first. I can easily find you guys. After Big Sister Gu said that, she leaped up and flew in the direction of Floating Cloud City. Regardless of whether we go to the edge of the Heavenly Star Forest or not, we have to at least stay away from Floating Cloud City and Gourd Bay for now. Xiaolingyu took out the round alms bowl once again. After the whole family flew in, he activated the round alms bowl and flew towards the northeast at full speed. This is for you. Ling took out a storage ring and handed it over to Xiaolingyu. Xiaolingyu's divine sense sank into the storage ring and carefully inspected it. The treasures in the storage ring were obtained by Ling during those years outside Gourd Bay. Each and every one of them had some value. With so many treasures, even if Xiaolingyu's family had a lot of cultivators, they would at least not have to worry about cultivation resources before they reached the extreme star realm. However, Xiaolingyu thought in his heart, Big Sister Gu is obviously a very wealthy person. She's definitely not a greedy person. She probably doesn't want so many prescriptions to do business. Then why does she want so many prescriptions? His thoughts were quickly focused again when he saw the lotus platform. The lotus platform was circular in shape and had a diameter of about 10 feet. Around it were 180 petals of different colors that looked like they were carved out of ice crystals. It looked magnificent and had an extremely good appearance. The beautiful appearance was secondary. The most important thing was that as soon as one's divine sense touched this lotus platform, it would be frozen. Without the support of a master or any energy, the icy aura it released made Xiaolingyu feel a bone-chilling cold. Obviously, this was an ice-type treasure. After thinking for a while, Xiaolingyu gave it to Qing Xian. At this time, the round alms bowl had been flying for a few days. Xiaolingyu felt that it would be safe for the time being. Therefore, he stopped the round alms bowl and let Qing Xian make the lotus platform recognize its owner. Just as Xiaolingyu had expected, Qing Xian dripped her blood on the lotus platform and did not make it recognize her as its owner. Her blood essence dripped onto the lotus platform and immediately rolled off. Xiaolingyu reminded Qing Xian to try the method of making the chaos treasure recognize her as its owner. Qing Xian did as she was told. She used her consciousness to touch the lotus seat. Perhaps it was because her soul strength also had an icy aura, so when her consciousness came into contact with the lotus seat, it did not freeze immediately. Qing Xian's divine sense quickly enveloped the lotus platform. Then, she used her mind to guide the weapon spirit of the lotus platform. Not long after, the lotus platform suddenly trembled. Then, a misty cold mist enveloped Qing Xian's body. Under the guidance of the cold mist, Qing Xian's body was pulled onto the lotus platform. Then, the petals of the lotus platform released a gorgeous light that circulated around Qing Xian's body. After waiting for half an hour, the colorful light and cold mist surrounding Qing Xian gradually dissipated. A lotus insignia appeared between Qing Xian's eyebrows. Under Xiaolingyu's surprised gaze, Qing Xian waved her sleeve and the lotus platform under her feet disappeared. Xiaolingyu was not surprised that Qing Xian could make the lotus platform recognize her as its owner. Instead, he was surprised that Qing Xian's cultivation had gone from the 9th celestial layer of longevity realm to the nirvana heart realm in half an hour. Qing Xian smiled at everyone. Then, she opened her palm. With a thought, a colorful lotus-like nirvana true fire appeared. What this lotus-like nirvana true fire released was not a scorching heat, but a coldness that could freeze a large area of space. That lotus platform must be an extremely powerful magic treasure. Otherwise, how could it allow its owner's cultivation to increase so much as soon as it recognized her as its owner? In addition to Ling Jiang Lanchang and the other girls all had envious expressions. Even Xiao Hong and the other children all surrounded Xiaolingyu after clapping and cheering. They also wanted a good magic treasure. Ling had obtained a lot of good magic treasures from the treasure trove, but none of them could compare to this lotus platform. However, with so many magic treasures, there was not much use in keeping them. Xiaolingyu naturally would not be stingy with her children. She immediately took out a large pile for them to choose from. The children chose magic treasures, but they did not look at their power. They only looked at their appearance. They would choose whichever magic treasure had an exquisite shape. I have to find an opportunity to refine my blood flute again. Miao Ying spun the blood flute in her hand and said with jealousy, "Husband, you can't favor one and discriminate against the other. When we served you, we were very dedicated." Jiang Lanchang said very directly, I will. Xiaolingyu could only reply with a hollow laugh. Naturally, no one would get into a fight because of a magic treasure. Xiaolingyu immediately took out the round bowl magic treasure and continued to fly towards the northeast. During the flight, Ling reminded, there are also several dozen large bottles of light green liquid. They should also be extraordinary. Xiaolingyu nodded and took out a large jade bottle that was over a foot tall. Then, she opened the bottle's stopper and the bottle's mouth. As soon as the bottle's stopper was opened, a light green mist gushed out and entered everyone's body with unstoppable force. Xiaolingyu was startled and hurriedly closed the bottle. Chapter 825. This liquid contains extremely dense life essence energy. Just by smelling it, it can actually make my body feel incomparably comfortable. If I drink a mouthful, I'll definitely be able to quickly recover from my injuries. I'm afraid it'll be of great use even to extreme astral realm experts. Xiaolingyu was inwardly astonished, and in addition to being astonished, he was naturally filled with joy. With so much light green liquid, he, his wife, and his friends wouldn't have to worry too much about being injured in the future. As for whether this light green liquid had any other more special and powerful uses, he could only slowly discover them in the future. After organizing the treasures that Ling had obtained, Xiao Lingyu continued to fly with the alms bowl while continuing to cultivate. The cultivation of Nirvana realm had 5 realms. In fact, it was divided into 5 steps. Xiao Lingyu was currently at the peak of the early stage of chaotic Nirvana realm, which was equivalent to having passed the 2 steps of body Nirvana realm and heart Nirvana realm. Next, he would enter the middle stage of chaotic Nirvana realm, completing the chaotic nascent soul and golden soul pearls Nirvana. And in the 5 steps of Nirvana realm, the most important thing wasn't to increase one's strength, but to increase the might of Nirvana True Fire. For example, Nirvana True Fire in body Nirvana realm was silver, and in Nirvana Soul realm, Nirvana True Fire would become golden. Although Xiao Lingyu's chaotic Nirvana True Fire's might was silver, it was already a bit stronger than Nirvana True Fire after Nirvana Soul realm. It was a good thing that Nirvana True Fire was strong, but it was relatively more difficult to continue increasing it. Ordinary cultivators only needed to continuously refine Yang True Fire or Yin True Fire to increase Nirvana True Fire, but he had to refine both Yang and Yin True Fire at the same time. Moreover, he had to fuse them together, which undoubtedly increased the difficulty by many times. It just so happened that he used the same method as everyone else to refine True Fire, which was to accumulate the Yin and Yang energy from the 9 suns and 9 moons in the sky step by step to refine wisps of True Fire. If he continued to cultivate with this method, his chaotic Nirvana True Fire's speed of improvement would be many times slower than ordinary cultivators. Although Xiao Lingyu wasn't greedy and didn't want to cultivate much faster than other cultivators, if he was much slower than ordinary cultivators, he still wouldn't be happy in his heart. Therefore, how to speed up his cultivation had become his main concern. Speeding up his cultivation was actually speeding up the condensation of the primal chaos true Nirvana flame. In other words, it would allow him to gather the energy released by the 9 suns and 9 moons at a faster rate. Only in this way would he be able to refine even more primal chaos true Nirvana flame within a certain period of time and gradually achieve the cultivation effect of quantitative change causing a qualitative change, to refine Nirvana True Fire. Moon crystals and sun crystals were the same, they could not be refined into Nirvana True Fire. When cultivators cultivated the Nirvana True Fire, they usually followed the prescribed order and it was difficult to take shortcuts. Xiao Lingyu suddenly thought of the mysterious diagram that could create Moon True Fire. He thought that diagram should be used by some moon attribute cultivator to speed up the cultivation of Nirvana True Fire. It wasn't used to create Moon True Fire. In the next period of flying, he began to devote himself to studying and comprehending the diagram. Back then, he only recorded it in the depths of his soul. He didn't have the time to comprehend it. Now that he had some free time, he could see if he could make a breakthrough in this aspect. Xiao Lingyu was, after all, a formation expert before he ascended. He had an extremely strong ability to study formations and restrictions. Ling also obtained a lot of jade slips and ancient books about restrictions from the treasure trove. As long as he carefully studied and comprehended those jade slips and ancient books, it shouldn't be difficult for him to comprehend the diagram. The round bowl had been flying for close to 100 years. Big Sister Gu had also caught up. During this time, in order to rest and not be easily tracked, he had stopped or gone around in circles. Otherwise, Big Sister Gu would have needed a longer time to meet up with everyone. Big Sister Gu, do you have a more detailed method of restriction formation? After some small talk, Xiao Lingyu asked Big Sister Gu expectantly. Yes, I do. Speaking of which, I can be considered a little expert in restriction formation. Big Sister Gu smiled and said. In the next 100 years of flying, Big Sister Gu taught Xiao Lingyu everything she knew about restriction formation. When she found out that Xiao Lingyu was also very skilled in restriction formation, she discussed it with Xiao Lingyu day and night. She learned a lot from Xiao Lingyu. Xiao Lingyu originally had a very good foundation in restriction formation. In addition to Big Sister Gu's patient teaching, he naturally gradually grasped the characteristics of the restriction formation of the world of immortals. After flying for another 200 years, it had been more than 400 years since they left Gourd Island. Xiao Lingyu finally understood the profound diagram. He couldn't wait to try it out. We've flown over millions of mountains and rivers. We're very far from Gourd Bay. Even if Mo Chi doesn't give up, I'm afraid he won't be able to find us in a short time. Why don't we stop and settle down first? Xiao Lingyu suggested. That's good too. Big Sister Gu didn't have any objections. She said, My husband and I built a temporary cave residence nearby. That cave residence is protected by my husband's restriction formation. I think it's still there now. Let's go there and settle down first. Xiao Lingyu and his family naturally didn't have any objections. Big Sister Gu immediately controlled the round bowl to change direction and fly. After flying for a month, Big Sister Gu put away the round bowl and led everyone to land in a large valley. This Grand Canyon was formed by the impact of a turbulent river. On both sides of the canyon were mountains that were tens of thousands of feet high. The mountains were all surrounded by lush forests. The water in the valley flowed endlessly. Steam rose from the surface of the river. The roars of ferocious beasts could be heard from the forests on both sides. This large valley was thousands of miles long. The cave residence that Big Sister Gu pointed to was at the waist of a steep cliff in the middle of the large valley. The entrance was only 1 meter tall and 1 meter wide. From the outside there was nothing special about it. They could even see birds flapping their wings and flying out of it. Even when they landed at the entrance, Xiao Lingyu didn't sense any fluctuations of restriction formation. It was clear that Big Sister Gu's husband was also an expert in the Tao of restriction formations. Under Big Sister Gu's lead, everyone entered the cave one by one. The cave was very long and only one person wide. It was pitch black all around. Father, I don't like it here, Xiao and I pouted and said. I don't like it either. Xiao Hong and the other 5 children also had unhappy expressions. After all, they were used to living in a spacious and bright courtyard. Haha, it's just a temporary place to stay, Xiao Lingyu said with a smile. The mothers immediately restrained their children so that they wouldn't talk too much. After walking for nearly 10,000 feet, they finally reached the end of the cave. An uneven stone wall blocked their way forward. Big Sister Gu waved her hand and formed a seal. The stone wall disappeared after a strange fluctuation, revealing a stone door. The stone door was simple and unadorned. It looked extremely sturdy. Big Sister Gu formed another seal. This time, she formed nearly 100 sets of seals before the stone door slowly opened. Behind the stone door was a rather large cave. The length and breadth of the cave were no less than 3,000 feet. In the middle of the cave was a pond that was about 150 feet wide. There was a small pavilion in the middle of the pond. There were aquatic plants growing in the pond. Large patches of duckweed floated on the surface of the pond. There were also fish swimming happily in the water. Around the pond, there were many stone stools and stone tables. There were also many exotic flowers and plants competing with each other. These flowers and plants were extraordinary. Even though they hadn't been taken care of for many years, they still appeared lively and prosperous. There were many stone doors on the stone walls around the cave. Behind those stone doors were probably meditation rooms or secret rooms used for cultivation. There aren't many rooms here. However, it's still relatively easy to carve out a few meditation rooms. You guys take a look around. I'll carve out a few more meditation rooms. After Big Sister Gu finished speaking, she flew to the bottom of a stone wall. First, she formed a seal to unlock the restriction on the stone wall. Then, she chiseled the stone wall. In the time it took to drink a cup of tea, a new quiet room appeared. After carving out more than 10 meditation rooms, Big Sister Gu strengthened and adjusted the cave abode's restriction and formation. Then, she taught Xiao Lingyu how to control the restriction and formation in the cave abode. After accompanying everyone in the cave abode for a month, Big Sister Gu waited until everyone was familiar with the cave abode. Then, she said, "Little Sister Ling if you're free, would you like to accompany me for a walk?" The so-called walk naturally meant going out to find the treasure. Ling had a special physique. She couldn't cultivate like everyone else. Therefore, she was just an idle person in the cave abode. She also wanted to go out for a walk. Perhaps she could find some opportunity to increase her strength. However, she still looked at Xiao Lingyu. There's no harm in going out for a walk. However, you have to be careful. If you can't do something, don't force it. Xiao Lingyu nodded. With Xiao Lingyu's permission, Ling followed Big Sister Gu and left the cave abode temporarily. After Ling and Big Sister Gu left, Xiao Lingyu first helped his wife, friends, and children enter a state of cultivation. Then, he entered the largest meditation room carved out by Big Sister Gu. He began to carve the mysterious formation diagram. He had already thoroughly studied it. Therefore, it wasn't difficult to carve the formation diagram. In less than a day, the formation diagram had already appeared on an extremely high-quality stone slab. He formed a seal and sent it into the formation diagram. The patterns on the formation diagram began to slowly move. When night fell, waves of moonlight strangely passed through the thick and huge body and was gathered by the formation. Under the effect of this formation, with the cave as the center, all the moonlight within a radius of several hundred miles began to flow towards the cave. The speed of gathering was at least 100 times faster than when Xiao Lingyu used his divine will to guide the moonlight. Chapter 8:26. With the increase in his strength and realm, Xiao Lingyu's refining speed of the Nirvana True Fire had increased by quite a bit. With the help of the array diagram, the last time he refined a wisp of moon attribute Nirvana True Fire, it took him several 100,000 years. This time, it only took him less than 1,000 years. However, just the moon attribute Nirvana True Fire was not enough. If he wanted to refine the primal Nirvana True Fire, he must also have the Yang attribute Nirvana True Fire. Although the refining speed of the Yang attribute Nirvana True Fire was much faster than the moon attribute Nirvana True Fire, if there was no way to speed it up, it would still take him 10,000 years to refine a wisp. Can I also create an array diagram that gathers Yang attribute energy? Xiao Lingyu had the idea of modifying the profound array diagram. Thus, he began to study it again. 1,000 years had passed. Ling and Big Sister Gu had not returned. They were probably still busy looking for the hidden treasure. Big Sister Gu had been in the world of immortals for quite a long time. She should know where the treasures could be hidden. She also understood the principle of being careful. Moreover, she was also an extreme star realm expert. Thus, Xiao Lingyu did not need to worry about her and Ling. In the forbidden array diagram that Big Sister Gu passed on to him, there were many arrays that gathered Yang attribute energy. Xiao Lingyu picked out these arrays and carefully studied them. In addition to his understanding of the array diagram that gathered moon essence, he used less than 100 years to create an array that was comparable to the profound array diagram. This array diagram did not look as profound and ingenious as the array diagram, but its power was definitely not lacking. With the help of the array diagram and the array diagram, Xiao Lingyu's refining speed of the primal Nirvana True Fire was undoubtedly much faster. It was at least 2 times faster than an ordinary cultivator cultivating a single type of Nirvana True Fire. Time slowly passed. Xiao Lingyu, his wife, friends, and children were also diligently cultivating. Another 2,000 years passed. Myling, who had the star pole magnet and a large amount of cultivation resources, smoothly broke through to the Nirvana soul realm. Big Sister Gu and Linger had finally returned. From their weather-beaten yet joyful expressions, it was obvious that they had suffered a lot, but they had also gained a lot. After leaving behind many treasures and accompanying everyone for a while, Big Sister Gu and Ling set off again while everyone continued to cultivate. Not long after, Anya Yueru, Miaoying, Jiang Lanyue, Jiang Lanchang, Xiao Bing, and the Devourer of Heaven also advanced to the body puppet realm one after another. Xiao Lingyu also engraved array diagrams or arranged arrays in their quiet rooms to help them condense the Nirvana true fire. Another few thousand years passed, and Xiao Lingyu's primal chaos true Nirvana flame finally turned from a silver-white to a faint gold color. After which, he once again began to absorb the comprehension within the life jewels of those Nirvana stage demonic beasts without any restraint. As for the improvement of his cultivation, it was very simple. A large amount of moon crystals and yang crystals were simply inexhaustible. After completing the improvement of his cultivation and soul realm, Xiao Lingyu used the pale gold primal chaos true fire to burn his entire body and began to refine his body. The process was still painful. He didn't prepare any pills or materials. He only used the mist of the pale green liquid to keep his body from dying and calmly endure the entire process to the end. The silver primal chaos true fire was already comparable to the Nirvana true fire of an ordinary Nirvana soul realm cultivator. Now, the pale gold primal chaos true fire was even stronger than the true fire of a Nirvana soul realm cultivator. It was definitely not weaker than the true fire of a true Nirvana realm cultivator. Xiao Lingyu's body and physical strength should also be comparable to a true Nirvana realm cultivator. It could be said that he had made a lot of progress in the past 10,000 years. In terms of cultivation, Xiao Lingyu had already reached the mid-stage of the Nirvana realm. After all, before he made this progress, he was already at the peak of the early stage of the Nirvana realm. In terms of strength, Xiao Lingyu, who had many advantages, could already face a true Nirvana realm expert head-on. However, he was still far from the extreme star realm. Although cultivation was very difficult, it was stable and quiet. The children were also used to this small courtyard, so they didn't make any noise. There weren't many cultivators gathered in the surrounding 10,000 miles of this canyon. It was also very difficult for the passing cultivators to discover the existence of this cave. Even if a cultivator occasionally passed by and felt the strange fluctuation of yin and yang energy, they would at most enter the cave, and then helplessly retreat after encountering the stone wall. However, Xiao Lingyu's wantonly gathering of yin and yang energy to refine the primal chaos true fire was really not small. Any cultivator who was sensitive to energy fluctuations would be able to detect it as long as they passed by. Most of them would also enter the cave to take a look. The cave's defensive restriction and formation were very powerful. According to Big Sister Gu, even an extreme star realm expert would have a hard time breaking it in a short period of time. That was why Xiao Lingyu was so daring. 10,000 years was nothing to the world of immortals. Moreover, in the vast and boundless world of immortals, cultivators rarely came out. Even if they came out occasionally, they wouldn't be willing to linger in the middle of the road. It was normal that no experts passed by this canyon. However, 20,000 years after Xiao Lingyu's family came to this cave in this canyon, their peaceful days finally came to an end. An extreme star realm expert happened to pass by the canyon's airspace. He felt the strange fluctuation of yin and yang energy here, and quickly found the cave, and walked to the end of the cave. This cultivator was a lean old man. His eyes were shining brightly, as if he was very intelligent. He looked at the stone wall in front of him for a long time, and muttered to himself, "The energy fluctuation here is so strange. If it's not an expert cultivating here, then it's some powerful treasure that has been gathering energy for many years, and is waiting to break through the ground and come into being. If there's an expert cultivating here, he would only need to make the yang or moon energy fluctuate abnormally. How could it be two different types of energy fluctuating at the same time? Only a few special treasures nurtured by heaven and earth would be able to create such a strange fluctuation. Thinking up to this point, he didn't hesitate any longer, and immediately began to attack the stone wall. Although this old man hadn't reached the peak of the extreme star realm, he was clearly more powerful than ordinary extreme star realm expert. After nearly 3 days of continuous attacks, the stone wall was broken through and disappeared into nothingness, revealing the stone door. Xiao Lingyu's family, who were inside the cave, had long sensed that there was an attack outside. At first, they didn't take it to heart, but when they felt the cave shake more and more violently, they finally became nervous. After all, the cave's restrictions and formations weren't set up by them, so they didn't know how powerful the cave's defenses were. The lean old man didn't retreat in the face of difficulties. On the contrary, his attacks over the past few days didn't draw out any experts to stop him, which made him even more energetic. However, after attacking the stone door for an entire month without breaking it open, he finally realized that it was extremely difficult to open the stone door with his strength alone. Thus, he hesitated and thought for a while, and first set up some restrictions and formations to conceal the cave, then leaped and flew away. Sensing that the cave was no longer shaking, and that there didn't seem to be any big movements coming from outside, Xiao Lingyu's family let out a long sigh of relief, secretly thinking that the other party had finally retreated. Unfortunately, after only 3 months, the cave began to shake violently again, and this time, it shook even more violently than before. It seems like the other party hasn't given up. It seems like they've even called for help, Xiao Lingyu said with a gloomy expression. Then what should we do? Whoever dares to attack here must be an extreme star realm expert, Anya said with a frown. Don't worry, the defensive formations and restrictions here aren't easy to break. Before Big Sister Gu left, she set up some restrictions here. As long as there's a strong attack here, she'll bring Ling'er back to help. Xiao Lingyu comforted. Xiao Lingyu knew that the formations and restrictions inside the cave were extremely powerful and not easy to break, but at this moment she couldn't help but feel a bit worried. If the defenses inside the cave were broken, although Xiao Lingyu's family had many people, they wouldn't be able to face a single extreme star realm expert, let alone the fact that there were many extreme star realm experts outside. There was indeed more than one extreme star realm expert outside. That lean old man had returned after leaving for 3 months, but this time, he brought 2 more extreme star realm experts with him. The 3 extreme star realm experts didn't dare to make too much of a commotion to avoid attracting other experts to fight over the treasures. They stood in front of the stone door, using a special formation to increase their attack power, and bombarded the stone door's gap. Concentrating their attacks on a single point was indeed one of the most effective ways to break through a formation. After all, they weren't formation experts. Big Sister Gu and Ling'er were indeed rushing back at full speed, but their expressions were filled with anxiety and regret. In order to obtain more treasures, they had gone too far. Even if Big Sister Gu rushed back at full speed, it would still take her close to 500 years to get back. She wasn't sure if the cave would be able to hold out until they got back. More importantly, if there were too many enemies, even if they got back, they might not be able to do anything. Although the cave's defenses were strong, the enemies were still 3 extreme star realm experts working together. In just 200 years, the cave's defensive restrictions and formations were already showing signs of collapsing. Haha, at most 50 years, and we'll be able to succeed, the lean old man said happily. The 3 extreme star realm experts saw hope, and they all worked even harder. Xiao Lingyu and her family, who were hiding in the cave, were all living in fear. In order to last longer, Xiao Lingyu had been constantly reinforcing the array and restriction spells in the cave. Fortunately, they had a lot of high-quality materials to provide the conditions for setting up the array. But no matter how hard she tried, she could only make the cave's defenses last for a few more years. In the blink of an eye, another 20 years had passed. The cave's defensive restrictions still hadn't collapsed, but another extreme Star Realm expert had rushed into the cave. The newcomer wasn't Big Sister Gu, nor was it the other three's helpers. It was Xiao Tianquan. Appearing at such a dangerous time, I'm sure that kid will be moved to tears. Hee hee. Xiao Tianquan thought happily in its heart. Chapter 8:27. Who are you, evildoer? Hurry up and retreat. The skinny old man shouted, waving his hand and shooting out a ray of light at the howling celestial dog. The ray of light was dazzling, as if it was made up of countless stars. It emitted a scorching heat like a rocket. The howling celestial dog continued to rush forward, and when the ray of light was close enough, it waved its front paw and fiercely slapped it. Bang! With a loud explosion, the rocket-like stream of light collapsed into countless sparks that resembled starlight. The howling celestial dog's speed was not affected by this, and it had already rushed to the stone door, knocking over an astral realm expert. Woof! The howling celestial dog barked at the three astral realm experts, and all the hair on its body immediately stood on end. A fierce aura surged from its body. Brother Chen, let us restrain this beast. Brother He, continue to attack the stone door. The skinny old man said to his two companions, and then a long sword appeared in his hand. The long sword emitted a cold light, and it looked extremely sharp. It was obviously not an ordinary item. The expert surnamed Chen also took out a magic treasure that looked like an iron ruler, and took the lead to sweep it towards the howling celestial dog. As for the expert surnamed He did as he was told, and used a broadsword to hack at the stone door. The howling celestial dog did not obstruct the expert surnamed He's attack on the stone door. It opened its mouth and spat out 5 powerful magic treasures: an axe, a whip, a spear, a battle axe, and a blade. After repelling the iron ruler's attack, it closed in on the skinny old man and the expert surnamed Chen. When it had first broken out of its seal, the howling celestial dog had used 6 attack-type magic treasures to fight 6 Star Realm experts alone without falling into a disadvantageous position. Not to mention that it was currently only fighting against 2 Star Realm experts. Naturally, it was not afraid at all, and could handle the situation with ease. The skinny old man and the expert surnamed Chen were beaten to the point where they could barely raise their heads. They did not have a chance to fight back, but the two of them were still bitterly holding on, waiting for the expert surnamed He to break open the stone door. The expert surnamed He was also using all his strength, but wanting to break open the stone door in such a short time was not an easy task. The howling celestial dog did not use all its strength to attack, and only restrained the skinny old man and the expert surnamed Chen. It maintained a posture where it could defeat its opponents at any time, but it was not willing to use its strength, as if it was deliberately exhausting the strength of the 2 experts. After 3 days of frantic attacks, the stone door was finally broken open. But at this moment they felt that something was wrong, and they were heavily injured and sent to retreat far away. Actually, they had long felt that something was wrong, but they still had a trace of hope, and they were unwilling to give up the stone door after all. They had already felt that something was wrong, of course, but was. Xiao Lingyu and his family, who were in the cave behind the stone door, were naturally extremely nervous when they saw the stone door being blasted open. They all prepared their own attacks, and when the stone door was opened, their attacks were launched together. The expert surnamed He had wanted to be the first to rush in and snatch the treasure, but the attack that greeted him directly blasted him back. Xiao Lingyu's wife and children's attacks were not that strong, but the bloody light of his destruction heavenly I was enough to seriously injure a Star Realm expert. The expert surnamed he had rushed forward, so it was hard to avoid being hit. Xiaoling Yu had been in seclusion these past few years. His strength had improved greatly, and the power of his destruction heavenly I had naturally increased by several times. If the expert surnamed he had not forgotten to defend himself, he would have died on the spot after being hit by the bloody light of destruction. It would not have been as simple as having one of his arms blown off. The expert surnamed he had been injured and retreated. He was also attacked by the howling celestial dog's 5 magic treasures, making it difficult for him to rush into the cave. To be honest, when Xiaoling Yu saw the howling celestial dog, he was incomparably excited. He felt his whole body relax, as if a mountain had been lifted from his heart. At this point, the howling celestial dog did not need to hold back. In front of Xiaoling Yu, it was abnormally fierce. Not to mention that the 3-star realm experts were already seriously injured. Even if they were in peak condition, they would not be able to withstand the attacks of the howling celestial dog's 5 powerful magic treasures. They could not hold on for more than 100 breaths of time before being killed by the howling celestial dog. Fortunately, I traveled day and night. Otherwise, I really would have let these 3 fellows succeed. The howling celestial dog raised its head, looking disdainfully at everyone in the world. That's right. Fortunately, Senior arrived in time. Otherwise, if I lost my life here, Senior's soul would also scatter, Xiaoling Yu replied. Hee, such a thing will never happen. That old bastard Hong Jun said that you are lucky. No one will die except you. The howling celestial dog scratched its head with a front paw and laughed dryly. Being used as a chess piece by others, your fate is controlled in the hands of others. Even if you walk to the end, it will be meaningless. In the end, you may be abandoned. Xiaoling Yu said. Chess piece? You mean you have been used as a chess piece by others? No way, who has such great magical power? The howling celestial dog said in surprise. That Hong Jun ancestor calculated everything about me and used various means to control my fate. Isn't he using me as a chess piece? Xiaoling Yu sneered. Ha ha! The howling celestial dog let out a burst of laughter and then said, You think too much. Although that old bastard Hong Jun is a master at the peak of the star realm, he has great strength and means, but he doesn't have the ability to control your fate. He just has an extremely strong deduction ability. As far as I know, that old bastard often divined the secrets of heaven, and then he saw that there would be a cultivator from my earth who would overcome all obstacles and reach the peak. That's why he left me to wait. That old bastard has already taken many top masters to the ancient Star Road. Now, I don't know whether he is alive or dead. When he went to the ancient Star Road, I'm afraid you weren't even born yet. His deduction at that time was only a very vague and mysterious scene. He didn't know who would be the descendant from Earth, and he didn't have such great magical power to control your fate across the space-time barrier of the world of immortals. Hearing this, Xiaoling Yu couldn't help but frown. If there is really a master who can control your fate, then it's definitely not that old bastard Hong Jun. His cultivation is definitely above the star realm. There are many top masters on Earth. They may have left you some guidance or mission in the cultivation world, the immortal, devil and demon realms, or the immortal realm, but it's absolutely impossible for them to control your fate. There are too many variables in a cultivator's fate, and they are not by your side. How can they know which path you will choose when you face a fork in the road? The howling celestial dog continued to explain. Above the star realm, there is a stronger realm? Xiaoling Yu said in surprise. Haha, there is no end to cultivation. Although I have never seen an existence stronger than the peak of the star realm, this doesn't mean that there is no such existence. Otherwise, why would that old bastard Hong Jun take so many masters to explore the ancient Star Road? The howling celestial dog said with a smile. What is the ancestor Hong Jun's plan for leaving Senior behind to guide me? Xiao Lingyu asked again. I don't know about this. He only told me that before you reach the Star Realm, I must protect you thoroughly. Masters like that old bastard Hong Jun like to deliberately mystify things and refuse to speak clearly. The howling celestial dog shook its head and complained. Xiao Lingyu felt that this howling celestial dog was indeed not a person who could hide his words. No, a dog, so he didn't ask any more questions. His eyes stared at the corpses of the 3-star realm masters. Oh right, the extreme star fire on these 3 guys are all priceless treasures. If you can refine it, it will have the same effect as refining extreme star ferromagnet. It will be very easy for you to reach the extreme star realm. As the howling celestial dog spoke, it waved its front paw, and 3 invisible forces acted on the 3 corpses. From them, 3 fire oranges that seemed to contain countless stars were drawn out. Those 3 blazing oranges were like a starry sky, and those specks of starlight were like planets in the starry sky. They should be the star-brilliant extreme fire that only a star extreme master could possess. It was a true fire that was countless times more powerful than Nirvana true fire. Xiao Lingyu had his own way of cultivating true fire. The starlight extreme fire had no effect on him. He looked at his wives and friends. Lil Bing and the Devourer of Heaven cultivated their own demonic fires. It was not suitable for them to refine other flames to improve their Nirvana true fire, so the starlight extreme fire had little effect on them. Qing Xian had the lotus platform, so it would not be too difficult for her to advance to the star realm. She also did not need the starlight extreme fire. Give me their corpses to refine the blood flute. I don't need their starlight extreme fire. Miao Ying said. I have a fiend body, which is considered moon attribute. The 3 of them all have yang attribute starlight extreme fire. I don't need it either. Yueru followed. Hee, then doesn't that mean I have a share? Jiang Lanchang said with bright eyes. The 3 starlight extreme fires were given to Jiang Lanchang, Jiang Lanyue, and Anya by Xiao Lingyu. Jiang Lanchang and her sister were not special cultivators, so the starlight extreme fire would naturally be of great help to them. Although Anya was a sword cultivator, if she could refine the starlight extreme fire into her sword nascent soul, it would also improve the quality of the sword nascent soul and the power of her sword moves. As for the children, they were naturally not a priority. After all, their cultivation was too low and they had too little experience. Myling already had the star pole magnet. He would advance to the star realm sooner or later, so he did not need the starlight extreme fire. After the starlight extreme fire was distributed, Miao Ying took out her blood flute in front of everyone, and then used a secret technique. Miao Ying had only just reached the Nirvana realm. No matter how powerful her secret technique was, it was extremely dangerous to directly refine an star realm expert. However, the howling celestial dog could use a secret technique to help her, allowing the star realm expert's energy to slowly release. Everyone entered the cave and repaired the cave's formations and restrictions with the help of the howling celestial dog. Chapter 828. 200 years quickly passed. With the help of the howling celestial dog, Miao Ying refined most of the essence of the 3 extreme star realm experts into her blood flute, greatly increasing the power and quality of the blood flute. At the same time, even if a small part of the essence was absorbed by her, it still directly promoted her to the true Nirvana realm, only 1 step away from the extreme star realm. This kind of rapid cultivation method was also supported by Miao Ying's clan's secret technique, the howling celestial dog's help, and Xiao Lingyu's countless elixirs and heavenly treasures. Otherwise, ordinary cultivators simply wouldn't be able to digest the essence of the extreme star realm expert. The extreme star realm experts used the brilliant star fire to temper their bodies. The essence of the energy in their bodies could help the Nirvana realm cultivators to continuously increase the power and quality of the Nirvana true fire. At the same time, it strengthened the vitality and toughness of the cultivator's body. This process was completed with the help of the howling celestial dog. Right now, Miao Ying was only one step away from the extreme star realm. As long as she could touch the characteristics of the extreme star realm, she would be able to smoothly advance. The key to advancing from the Nirvana realm to the extreme star realm is to transform the Yang attribute power and Moon attribute power into star power. In fact, the 9 suns and 9 moons in the sky of the world of immortals are all stars. It's just that they are relatively close to the world of immortals, so they appear more dazzling and clear. In fact, the power and energy of those stars in the sky of the world of immortals are not inferior to the 9 suns and 9 moons that everyone can see. There are even some that are stronger than the 9 suns and 9 moons. In fact, the reason why the world of immortals can continue indefinitely is because of the endless stars and 9 moons that provide the world of immortals with energy. Seeing that everyone was listening attentively, the howling celestial dog felt slightly proud in its heart. It continued, looking for star power in the rich yin and yang energy of the 9 suns and 9 moons. Alternating day and night requires an extremely high realm. This realm requires the cultivator to have the ability to communicate with the heaven and earth, to be able to find the star power and gather it into the body, and then refine it into the brilliant star fire. One can be considered a true extreme star realm expert. The brilliant star extreme fire is the same as the star magnetic force. It will help the cultivator automatically absorb the star power between heaven and earth. Therefore, the cultivator who has the star magnetic force and the brilliant star extreme fire will be able to easily reach the extreme star realm. Senior, with the help of the star pole magnet or the brilliant star fire, I have the power of the star extreme realm, but I haven't reached the star extreme realm yet. What should I do? Myling asked sincerely. It's very simple. Go to the heavenly star forest and kill an astral extreme realm heavenly star beast. Absorb an astral extreme realm heavenly star beast's life pearl, and you'll be able to quickly reach the astral extreme realm. Of course, if you're rich enough, you can also use yang crystals or moon crystals to buy it. However, the value of an extreme star beast's life pearl is very difficult to measure with yang crystals or moon crystals. Even if a cultivator sells it, I'm afraid it will be exchanged for some special medicinal pills or magic treasures. At this point, Xiao Tianquan suddenly stopped and asked Xiao Lingyu, since you're an earth cultivator, you should know about Taishang Laojun, right? One of the 3 pure ones? Taiji diagram? Xiao Lingyu asked in surprise. Yes, that's him. He's that old bastard Hongjuan's proud disciple. Xiao Tianquan first nodded, then said, he's a true expert in alchemy. He once refined a cauldron of star extreme pill. Consuming 1 pill can allow a Nirvana realm cultivator to directly reach the star extreme realm. However, that old man's pill recipe has never been leaked. He accompanied Hongjun to the ancient starry sky path. His Tushita Palace should be hidden in the Immortals' mainland. If we can find the Tushita Palace, it's very likely that we'll be able to obtain the star extreme pill. Senior should know where the Tushita Palace is hidden, right? Even if you don't know, you should have some clues. Xiao Lingyu said with a smile. This I really don't know. That old man's methods are so brilliant. Not to mention me, even if my master was still in the Immortals world, I'm afraid it would be very difficult to find where he hid the Tushita Palace. Xiao Tianquan shook its head. At this point, Xiao Lingyu suddenly felt that the cave's restriction had been triggered. Just as she was about to raise her guard, the stone door suddenly opened. Big Sister Gu and Ling hurriedly walked in. When she saw Xiao Tianquan, Big Sister Gu was very surprised. She said, "You're that damned dog?" Xiao Tianquan was unhappy. It was originally lying lazily, but it suddenly stood up and stretched out a front paw. It pointed at Big Sister Gu and scolded, "You little girl, how can you be so disrespectful to your elders? When I was in the Star Extreme realm, you were just a little girl wearing a red doudou with bare buttocks. So what? Even your master is polite when she sees my husband. Why should I respect you as my elder?" Big Sister Gu said, unconvinced. "Forget it. That's because my master is giving your husband face. Your husband's strength is far inferior to my master's," Xiao Tianquan said. "My husband's cultivation time is shorter, and he doesn't have any backing. Naturally, he can't be compared to your lineage's background. If your master didn't have the support of countless powerhouses from your lineage, she might not be as strong as my husband." Big Sister Gu was still very unconvinced. From the conversation between Big Sister Gu and Xiao Tianquan, it could be seen that Big Sister Gu knew Xiao Tianquan. However, she was not a cultivator from the Earth lineage, and neither was her husband. "Let's not talk about your husband and my master. Let's talk about the two of us. I started cultivating much earlier than you, and my cultivation is much higher than yours. Aren't I your elder?" Xiao Tianquan said proudly. "Forget it. I don't have an elder like you. Back then, when the heavenly star beasts swept through the immortals' mainland, you only went out to fight one battle, and said that you were too injured. When we went to ask you to fight, you pretended to be dead in your doghouse. When we defeated the heavenly star beasts' army, you came out to chase after them. If I had an elder like you, I would have died from shame." Big Sister Gu said sarcastically without holding back. "You still have the nerve to mention this. Back then, if my master didn't send me over to help your husband, I wouldn't have bothered with you. You would have been dismembered by the heavenly star beast. I helped you with good intentions, and you're saying that I'm not good for you. You really don't know what's good for you." Xiao Tianquan seemed to be very angry, but its eyes were flickering. It was probably a little guilty. The one who attacked the cave's barrier a few days ago, was it this damn dog? Big Sister Gu pointed at Xiao Tianquan and asked. No, it was 3 astral limit realm experts. However, they were all killed by Xiao Tianquan. Xiao Lingyu shook her head and said. Xiao Tianquan waved its clenched front paws, as if to show that it was very powerful. "That's good." Big Sister Gu nodded her head in relief. Then, she said to Xiao Tianquan, "I say, you damn dog, didn't you always claim to be very loyal? Why are you still in the world of immortals when your master has already gone to the ancient starry path? Why didn't you accompany your master to his death? Oh, right, for someone like you who is so afraid of death, even if 2 armies were to face each other, and both sides were evenly matched, you would probably still run away. Little girl, I'm warning you. If you continue to force me, I won't go easy on you." Xiao Tianquan finally flipped out. "With such a small tolerance, you have the nerve to call yourself a senior?" Big Sister Gu laughed fearlessly. "Humph. Aren't you deeply in love with your husband? Why didn't you accompany your husband to his death?" Xiao Tianquan then said as if it had suddenly realized something. "Oh, right. Back then, you hadn't reached the astral limit realm. Now, you've only just reached the astral limit realm. Even if you want to die, you don't have the qualifications." Just as the howling celestial hound finished its sarcastic retort, a huge pressure suddenly pressed down from above. It was as if a huge mountain had collapsed. Although the cave's barrier had been reinforced countless times by Xiao Tianquan and Xiao Lingyu, it still couldn't help but tremble and crackle at this moment. Not good. Even experts like Xiao Tianquan and Big Sister Gu had a huge change in expression. They shouted together and then released their power to envelop Xiao Lingyu and the others. Then, they quickly flew out and escaped with their fastest speed. Xiao Lingyu flew out of the cave and arrived above the canyon. However, he discovered that the sky was dark. When he looked up, he could not see the 9 suns or the 9 moons. Instead, he could see a stretch of pitch-black darkness rushing towards the ground. Strong winds blew in all directions, and the mountain rocks and trees were reduced to dust under the enormous pressure. Terrifying cracks continuously appeared on the solid ground. It was as if the end of the world had arrived. Big Sister Gu and Xiao Tianquan were extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, they were thousands of miles away. However, they flew for a full 100 breaths before they could see the sun again. While the two-star realm experts were flying at top speed, Xiaolingyu kept staring at the sky. He saw an incomparably huge sphere, covering the sky and the sun as it fell. At the same time, it kept rubbing against the immortal world's space. Its whole body emitted flames, and its size was rapidly shrinking. Looking at the situation, it was as if a planet was falling from the 9 heavens. Boom! A truly earth-shattering explosion was heard. That huge sphere, which was like a planet, fiercely smashed onto the immortals' land. It caused the heaven and earth to tremble violently. An incomparably powerful shock wave suddenly swept in all directions. In an instant, everything within a radius of a few 100,000 miles was flattened. All the creatures in this vast area lost their vitality at the same time. Big Sis Gu and Howling Celestial Dog were both defending with all their might. Luckily, they were both astral extreme realm warriors, and luckily, they had moved quickly and escaped far away. Otherwise, under this shockwave, half of Xiaolingyu's family would have died. After that shock wave swept past, Big Sister Gu and Xiao Tianquan also stopped. Turning around to look, that huge sphere had already collapsed. Not far away, there was an incomparably huge crater. Thick smoke was billowing out from within. Around the crater, there were countless wide and frightening cracks. Scorching hot magma gushed out from the cracks and flowed in all directions. Flying into the crater, they could see from afar that a huge stone tablet was erected in the middle of the crater. There seemed to be a few big words on it. Chapter 829. Perhaps it was because everyone had been in the cave abode all this time and did not see the strange phenomenon in the sky. Moreover, the restriction and formation in the cave abode had blocked everyone's senses. That was why they only reacted when the cave abode trembled due to the huge pressure. As for the other experts in the vicinity, they had already sensed it. Therefore, they had escaped in time and turned back in time. There were also some powerhouses who were slightly further away. When they saw the strange phenomenon in the sky, they had already begun to fly over. Now, they were also flying towards the center of the huge pit. The stone monument was also 1,000 feet tall, 3,000 feet wide, and 500 feet thick. It stood tall and gave off a strong sense of oppression. It was also a tombstone with the words, Tomb of Taishang Laojun written on it. No way, that old fellow can die too? Xiao Tianquan was dumbfounded when it saw the words clearly. Even Senior Taishang Laojun has fallen. The ancient Starry Sky Road is really a dead end. Big Sister Gu said with a heavy expression. It's over, it's over. This old fellow is dead. I'm afraid my master and your husband. Don't talk nonsense. Even if your master dies 100 times, my husband will still be fine. Before Xiao Tianquan could finish, Big Sister Gu angrily interrupted. Although I hate that old bastard Hong Jun and his 3 Pure One's disciples, I have to admit that Taishang Laojuan's strength is really abnormal. I'm afraid that 10 of my master and 10 of your husbands would not be enough for him to pinch them with 2 fingers. Even this old fellow is dead. This shows how dangerous the ancient Starry Sky Road is, Xiao Tianquan said with a sad face. There are many dangerous places that not only depend on one's strength, but also on one's luck. On the ancient Starry Sky Road, I don't think that the stronger one is, the safer it is. Maybe the stronger one is, the more dangerous it is. Otherwise, why would those who have their tombstones placed there be all top powerhouses? Some of the weaker powerhouses who went to the ancient Starry Sky Road did not have their tombstones placed there, Big Sister Gu said reasonably. Maybe those ordinary powerhouses are not qualified to have their tombstones placed there. Xiao Tianquan still looked dejected. You damned dog, you should really die with your master. Big Sister Goo snapped. At this moment, there were already quite a few Star Realm powerhouses that had flown in front of the tombstone. After looking at it for a while, some of the bolder ones began to attack the tombstone. Since it is the tombstone of the deceased, why would it fall from the starry sky? If it falls like this, it will definitely be shattered, Xiaoling Yu said in confusion. Who knows? Ever since the experts from the world of immortals started to climb the ancient star path, tombstones would occasionally fall from the sky. We have never been to the ancient star path, so we don't know what's up there. Big Sister Goo shook her head and said. On Grand Supreme Elderly Lord's tombstone, there was an insignia of a yin-yang fish. It looked like an extremely high-quality artifact. That seems to be Taishang Laojuan's innate spiritual treasure Taiji diagram. The howling celestial dog let out a cry of surprise. It then opened its mouth and spat out the 5 offensive magic treasures. It then excitedly charged towards the tombstone. Under the attacks of several Star Realm powerhouses, the tombstone was already covered in cracks. When the howling celestial dog rushed over, the tombstone suddenly exploded. What's there to fight for? Elderly Lord's Tai Chi diagram is a natural spiritual treasure. It has extremely high spirituality. It's not like anyone can take it for themselves unless they are stronger than Elderly Lord. Big Sister Goo did not rush over to fight for it. She only looked at the yin-yang Tai Chi diagram that was floating in the air with a serious expression. She even brought Xiaoling Yu and the others to a distance to prevent them from being affected by the battle between the Star Realm powerhouses. Actually, everyone knew that they might not be able to get the natural spiritual treasure by fighting for it. However, the Tai Chi diagram was right in front of them. They could not help but fight for it. Even an expert like the howling celestial dog could not hold back. The Star Realm powerhouses saw that the howling celestial dog was powerful and had powerful magic treasures. They immediately had a tacit understanding and attacked the howling celestial dog together. Haha, fellow Taoists, this treasure fell near my Black Wind Mountain. It should belong to me, the Black Wind Old Monster. Don't fight for it. Just as the howling celestial dog and the Star Realm powerhouses were fighting fiercely, a gust of wind wrapped around a surging black fog. It was accompanied by a burst of laughter. In just 2 breaths, the black fog had already engulfed the entire battlefield. This old monster's strength seems to have increased. Big Sister Goo brought Xiaoling Yu and the others back a distance. At the same time, she said with some surprise. Under the cover of the black fog, Xiaoling Yu could only hear the continuous sounds of intense fighting. However, she could not see the situation inside. Her expression was calm. With Big Sister Goo and the howling celestial dog here, even if the Black Wind Old Monster wanted to settle the score with her, Xiaoling Yu did not have to be afraid. Moreover, the Black Wind Old Monster might not even know who killed his disciple. In the black fog, the fierce battle lasted for nearly an hour. Only then did the howling celestial dog rush out with the 5 treasures. It was still cursing unhappily. Damn it, you all think I look kind and want to fight me? I'm not going to play with you anymore. If you have the ability, you can snatch the Tai Chi diagram for me to see. Haha, Big Sister Goo looked at the howling celestial dog's sorry state and could not help but laugh heartily. She said, It's not that you look kind, it's just that you're too ugly. Anyone who sees you can't help but want to beat you up. The howling celestial dog opened its mouth and put away the 5 treasures. Then it said, That's because there's a problem with your appreciation level. How's the Black Wind Old Monster's strength? Big Sister Goo asked. He's alright. He's definitely not as strong as me, the howling celestial dog replied nonchalantly. From what I see, even if he's not as strong as you, he's not that far off. Moreover, each of your treasures is extremely powerful. Without their help, you might not be able to defeat the Black Wind Old Monster. Big Sister Goo said. Who said I can't have a few powerful treasures? They use treasures because of their own ability, and I'm using treasures because of external help? The howling celestial dog said, unconvinced. After waiting for another hour, Star Realm experts continuously flew out from the black fog. Each and every one of them had a gloomy complexion. After they came out, they did not stay for even a moment and immediately flew away. The black fog gradually dispersed. Only an old man wearing a very loose black robe was left in the field. That old man's sleeves were really too loose. As they fluttered in the wind, it made him look like a big black bat with its wings spread wide. The old man had a head of long hair, intertwined with black and white. It was also fluttering in the wind. Looking at the length of his hair, if it were to fall flat, it would directly touch the ground. This old man was the black-winged old monster. He could be considered as one of the few experts in the southwest region of the Immortals' mainland. The black-winged old monster actually relied on his own strength to beat back several Star Realm experts. Moreover, right now, he did not seem to be injured at all. It could be seen that his strength was tyrannical, and that yin-yang tai chi diagram was still quietly floating in the air. The black-winged old monster was currently quietly observing it. His brows were almost knitted together. After observing for a while, the black-winged old monster released his own power and soul power to wrap around the Tai Chi diagram. He tried to communicate with the Tai Chi diagram's spirituality. The reason why everyone was fighting with all their strength was actually to be the first to try to gain the recognition of the Tai Chi diagram's spirituality. The Tai Chi diagram also quickly released a circle of black and white radiance that enveloped him. However, in just a moment, that circle of radiance disappeared, and the Tai Chi diagram did not have the slightest movement. Black Wind, this Tai Chi diagram doesn't care about you. The howling celestial dog leisurely flew over and said with a complacent tone, Xiao Tian, do you think it will care about you? The black-winged old monster sneered. That's not necessarily true. After all, it was left behind by an expert of our Earth lineage. Perhaps it will feel the rustic aura on me and submit to me. As the howling celestial dog finished speaking, he had already arrived under the Tai Chi diagram. Just like the black-winged old monster, he released his power and soul power to communicate with the Tai Chi diagram's spirit. The Tai Chi diagram also released a circle of black and white radiance that enveloped the howling celestial dog. However, that circle of radiance also disappeared after that. There was no movement at all. Ha ha! The black-winged old monster laughed loudly and said, Looks like the rustic aura on your body is useless. The howling celestial dog's expression was a little awkward. It used one of its front paws to scratch its head again. Then, it waved its paws at Xiaoling Yu and Big Sister Gu and said, Don't just watch. Come and try too. Who knows, you might have a chance to obtain this connate spiritual treasure. Big Sister Gu smiled and flew over with Xiaoling Yu and her family. You little girl, go to the side first. This is a treasure left behind by an expert from Earth. Naturally, we have to try to make it recognize us as its master first. The howling celestial dog waved its paws at Big Sister Gu. Then, it pointed at Xiaoling Yu and said, You go first. Wait. Before Big Sister Gu could say anything, the black-winged old monster had already shouted softly. Everyone looked at the black-winged old monster beside him. They saw him pointing at Xiaoling Yu and saying, Kid, that useless disciple of mine was killed by you, right? Big Sister Gu immediately said, Black-winged old monster, you can't say things like that. The howling celestial dog didn't care and said, You said it yourself that your disciple was useless. No matter who killed him, he can only blame himself for not being skilled enough. He deserved to die. The black-winged old monster sneered again and said, I've never wronged or framed anyone. I've sent my disciples to investigate before. First, they found the cultivator who asked my disciple to kill him. Although he's already dead, I have countless disciples in Black Wind Ridge. I'll definitely be able to find out the truth. Why, Black Wind, are you going to avenge your disciple? The howling celestial dog's tone had changed. Shouldn't I avenge my disciple? The Black Wind old monster retorted. To tell you the truth, this kid is now my new master. If you kill him, I'll be in trouble too. Do you still want to avenge him? The howling celestial dog said directly. When the Black Wind old monster heard this, his frown deepened. He never thought that the howling celestial dog would recognize this kid as its master. He wasn't too afraid of the howling celestial dog, but if they really fought, he definitely wasn't confident that he could defeat it. Then, he saw that Big Sister Goo was also standing beside the kid, as if they were going to advance or retreat together. The Black Wind old monster knew that his revenge was hopeless. At least, it was hopeless today. He hesitated and said, I can let this kid go, but the Southern Star Pavilion is also looking for him. I'll wait for the Southern Star Pavilion to finish him off. Chapter 830. Xiaoling Yu knew that the South Star Pavilion was precisely the great power that Emo-Chi and the others belonged to. Not only did they control the Gourd City and the Floating Cloud City, even the entire southwest region of the Immortals continent was their territory. They were extremely powerful, and had many astral extreme realm warriors. Xiaoling Yu had already expected that South Star Pavilion would place a bounty on his family. Otherwise, he wouldn't have gone into hiding. Black Wind, the entire southwest region of the Immortals mainland, has become South Star Pavilion's territory. Is your Black Wind Ridge also preparing to submit? Big Sister Goo asked curiously. Submit? What a joke. Black Wind's expression was indifferent as he said, They don't have the qualifications to make my Black Wind Ridge submit. Although Black Wind Ridge doesn't have as many experts as South Star Pavilion, and our entire power is not even 1/10,000th of theirs, my Black Wind Ridge is still not afraid of anyone in the southwest region of the Immortals mainland. When those elders of South Star Pavilion see me, they would have to call me Black Wind. South Star Pavilion might not be able to do anything to your Black Wind Ridge, but don't forget, South Star Pavilion is only a branch of Star Pavilion. Not to mention the entire Star Pavilion, even if South Star Pavilion and West Star Pavilion joined hands, they would still be able to flatten your Black Wind Ridge with minimal losses. Big Sister Goo said with a smile. They have no reason to launch a large-scale expedition against Black Wind Ridge. Black Wind said. Brat, they are chatting among themselves. What are you still standing there for? Xiao Tianquan urged Xiaoling Yu. Xiaoling Yu nodded. Then, he shifted his attention to the yin-yang Tai Chi diagram left behind by Taishang Laojun. Although he didn't try to make it recognize him as its master, he was more than 80% sure that he could make it recognize him as its master. Sure enough, when he wrapped his power and soul power around the Tai Chi diagram, a black and white radiance enveloped his entire body. A moment later, the Tai Chi diagram suddenly trembled for a while. Then, it sank into his body and floated above his primal chaos nascent soul. It slowly rotated. Congratulations, congratulations, Big Sister Goo said with a smile. As expected, you are a brat with great fortune. That old bastard Hongjun is quite accurate, Xiao Tianquan said. Humph. Black Wind coldly snorted. He flew away with a face full of displeasure. He didn't even bid farewell. This fellow must be thinking that since we can't make the Taiji diagram recognize us as its master, he will bring the Taiji diagram back and let his disciples try it one by one. Big Sister Goo guessed. After all, this is. Xiao Tianquan said with a firm tone. I still feel that something is amiss. Of all places, why did old Lord Taishang's tombstone fall? Why did it fall right beside us? Xiaoling Yu's face was full of doubt. He felt that this matter could not be explained by coincidence. What's the point of thinking so much? As long as the treasure is in our hands, it's fine. Even if some expert did this on purpose, he probably didn't have any bad intentions, the howling celestial dog said nonchalantly. While I get the benefits, there must be some troubles waiting for me to solve. Maybe I have to pay a price. Even if a pie falls from the sky, the immortals' mainland is so big. There is no reason for it to fall in front of us. Xiaoling said with a bitter smile. There may be a problem. But be careful in the future. You can't just throw away the innate spiritual treasure that you obtained with great difficulty. Big Sister Gu said calmly. You guys are just too smart. You are always suspicious of this and that. How tiring. Look at me, I am so carefree. I don't have to worry about anything. Even if the sky falls, there is a tall one to hold it up. Xiao Tianquan said lazily. Senior, although you have a free and easy temperament, aren't you still running around? If the sky really falls and the tall one is gone, what are we going to do? Xiaoling shook his head and said, This is what you self-proclaimed smart cultivators should worry about. Anyway, I don't have to think about anything. I will go to the ancient starry sky path to find my master after I finish what those guys told me. The celestial hound waved its front paw disinterestedly and reminded, the Grand Supreme Elderly Lord has already fallen. His Tushita Palace has also become an ownerless object. I'm afraid it won't be long before it appears again. Now that you have the Yin-Yang Taiji diagram, it might be able to give you some guidance and let you find the Tushita Palace first. Let's not talk about this for now. Let's find a place to stay. Old Monster Black Wind might not be able to avenge himself, but he might leak our whereabouts to the Southern Star Pavilion, Big Sister Gu said kindly. You guys go find a place. I have to do something else. Xiao Tianquan waved his paw. Senior, you are leaving again? Xiaoling frowned. Yes. In order to go to the ancient starry sky path to meet my master as soon as possible, I have to finish what they told me. Xiao Tianquan nodded. Senior, are you sure you don't need help? Xiaoling asked kindly. I do, but if you guys follow me, you will only make things worse. It would be better if you guys had reached the celestial extremity realm. Xiao Tianquan said noncommittally. Senior, please be careful. Xiaoling naturally would not force it to stay. Don't worry. This damn dog is not as brave as you think. It will never touch dangerous things. Big Sister Gu said sarcastically. You are such a snob, a snob. Do you know where I went before? You will be scared to death if I tell you. Xiao Tianquan said unhappily. Where? Is it the center of the heavenly star forest? Big Sister Gu glanced at Xiao Tianquan and asked curiously. I went to Thunder Sky Mountain's Heavenly Thunder Peak last time. Xiao Tianquan said proudly. Big Sister Gu was stunned at first. Then she said, Forget it. With your courage and ability, you dare to go to Heavenly Thunder Peak where only Celestial Extremity Realm Masters dare to go? Even if you really went to Thunder Sky Mountain, you must have wandered around the foot of the mountain. You don't believe me when I say you are wrong. Do you know where I am going this time? You will be scared to death if I tell you. Xiao Tianquan seemed to be showing off. Where? Big Sister Gu asked. Xiaoling could tell that Big Sister Gu did not believe it. She was just trying to get information out of it. This time, I am going to the Demon Abyss Hell's Evil Spirit Island. Xiao Tianquan raised its head high, like a hero about to go to war. Damn dog, why are you going there? Do you want to die? Big Sister Gu asked in shock. You don't have to worry about that. Although this trip is very dangerous, I am not afraid. After Xiao Tianquan finished speaking, it flew away with a strong sense of righteousness. It really did look like it was going to face thousands of demons. First to Heavenly Thunder Peak, then to Evil Spirit Island. Could it be Big Sister Gu did not finish her sentence, but her expression was even more shocked. It was as if she could not believe her own speculation. What is it, Big Sister Gu? Xiaoling felt that something was wrong, so she asked. If I am not wrong, this damn dog must have gone to Heavenly Thunder Peak and secretly caught a Thunder Spirit. Then, it sent the Thunder Spirit to Evil Spirit Island in the Demon Abyss Hell, and let the Thunder Spirit destroy the seal on Evil Spirit Island. But if that is really the case, then it is to release the Evil Spirit Demon Lord. This is not good for the cultivators of the realm of immortals. Why would it do that? Big Sister Gu was very confused. Xiao Tianquan Sr. was asked to do this by an expert. Probably doesn't know why it is doing this. Xiao Lingyu said, "Forget about it. Even if it is as I guessed, even if that damn dog stole an extreme star realm thunder spirit, it will take at least 10 million years to break the seal on Evil Spirit Island. Let's find a place to hide first." Big Sister Gu said, and took out the round alms bowl again. According to the previous plan, Big Sister Gu drove the round alms bowl and continued to fly northeast. They were getting closer and closer to the heavenly star forest in the center of the Immortals' mainland. When they passed by some big cities, Big Sister Gu also sold all kinds of treasures that she and Ling had collected over the years. She also spent a lot of yang crystals to buy some resources that everyone needed for cultivation. In the years that they left Gourd Island, Big Sister Gu and Ling could be said to have a bountiful harvest. The yang crystals they exchanged were in the hundreds of millions. Xiao Lingyu and the other cultivators looked like they had a lot, but no matter how much they squandered, they could not hope to use up all the yang crystals in Xiao Lingyu and Big Sister Gu's storage rings. In the blink of an eye, more than 300 years had passed since they parted with Xiao Tianquan. Big Sister Gu suddenly pointed at a big mountain in front of them and said, "That's the Hot Spring Mountain Range. It covers a large area. There are many deep caves and underground passages. Let's hide there for a while." From afar, the Hot Spring Mountain Range was shrouded in a thick mist. Countless mountains were faintly discernible. It looked like a good place. However, when they got closer, they discovered that the Hot Spring Mountain Range was filled with rich water energy. There was also a pungent smell that was released after burning sulfur. When they sensed it carefully, they discovered that there seemed to be a strong fire energy fluctuation in the Hot Spring Mountain Range. Not long after they entered the mountain range, Xiao Lingyu heard more than 10 explosions. Occasionally, they could even feel that the mountains were shaking violently. This place is a little special. Water and fire exist together. The two attributes are completely different, and they are both very rich. Therefore, there is often an energy conflict. The explosions are earth-shattering. Although there are countless hot springs here, cultivators don't have the leisure to take a bath. The hot springs don't make cultivators feel very comfortable. The environment here is also very strange and not very quiet. Therefore, there aren't many cultivators in the Hot Spring Mountain Range. Big Sister Gu explained as she led everyone into the mountain range. However, you can all be at ease. Apart from the frequent explosions and tremors, there isn't much danger here. There are some ferocious beasts and birds of prey, but their cultivation levels are below Xingji's. They aren't much of a threat to everyone. As she spoke, a large bird flapped its wings and pounced towards them. Big Sister Gu waved her hand and shot out a beam of brilliant starfire, killing the bird on the spot. After flying for nearly 10 days, Big Sister Gu finally stopped. She said, "We've reached the depths of the mountain range. There's a cave over there. Let's go take a look." "I don't like it here," Xiao and I said with a pout. The other children nodded in agreement. Chapter 831. The inside of the cave was also steaming, and the pungent smell was even stronger. The children were all very unhappy, and their mothers were all frowning. At this moment, Xiao Lingyu was also a little depressed. As a man, he actually couldn't let his wife and children have a stable and comfortable home. He was really a little incompetent. However, this was still a helpless choice. When Ling had slaughtered the Yun clan in a fit of rage, everyone had charged out of Gourd City with incomparable strength. Everyone had felt very refreshed, but they hadn't been mentally prepared to bear the serious consequences of that refreshment. This family's mentality was still too strong, and they had too much of a sense of superiority. They always felt that although the world was big, no one could bully them, and that they ought to live the life of a wealthy family that was respected by everyone. The cave twisted and turned, and there were countless forks. It was like a maze. After walking for a full 4 hours, Big Sister Goo finally stopped. She pointed to a relatively spacious underground cave and said, "Let's settle down here first. Don't look at the environment here. At least it's quiet and safe." Usually, there are very few cultivators who are willing to come to the Hot Springs mountain range, and it's even harder for anyone to find this place. As for the environment, after all, we can use formations and restrictions to improve it. In any case, we won't be staying here for long. Everyone make do with it. Although the children were unhappy, their mothers weren't unreasonable people. Naturally, no one raised any objections. Immediately, Xiao Lingyu and his family began to get busy. In less than 2 hours, this simple cave had changed its appearance. The caves and secret passages that connected to this cave were sealed off by restrictions and formations. There were also some simple furniture in the cave, and there were also some flowers and plants that had been moved over from the Immortals' Cave as decorations. It looked very cozy. After everyone was settled, Big Sister Goo brought Ling out to search for treasure again. However, before they left, Big Sister Goo promised that this time, they wouldn't go too far. If anything happened here, they would rush back as soon as possible to provide support. The array and restrictions set up by Xiao Lingyu and Big Sister Goo was not much weaker than the protective array around the cave. It could similarly withstand the combined attacks of multiple Star Realm experts for over 100 years. It could be considered safe and stable. By now, the family had accumulated enough wealth. Not only was it enough for everyone to cultivate to the extreme astral realm, they didn't even have to worry about cultivating to the extreme astral realm. Xiao Lingyu originally didn't plan on letting Ling Er go out and take risks. However, firstly, Ling Er was willing to go out and look for opportunities. Secondly, he didn't want to disregard Big Sister Goo. Thus, he could only warn them to be extremely careful and not to stop them. After Ling and Big Sister Goo left, Xiao Lingyu set up the array diagram or Dharma array to gather the Luna energy and entered a state of cultivation with his wife, friends, and children. Although cultivation was boring, if he did not cultivate and raise his strength, how could he face the Southern Star Pavilion's bounty? Even without the Southern Star Pavilion's bounty, who could guarantee that this large family of cultivators wouldn't provoke other experts in the future? If he wanted to truly live a carefree life, he had to have enough strength. When the profound array diagram to gather the Luna energy and the Yang energy Dharma array began to operate, Xiao Lingyu was pleasantly surprised to find that regardless of whether it was day or night, the Luna and Yang energy existed at the same time. It wasn't like other places that only had the Luna at night and the Yang energy during the day. Just this point alone could double his cultivation speed. How can there be such a situation? Xiao Lingyu was extremely puzzled. He knew that regardless of whether it was the 9 suns or the 9 moons, the energy they cast down during the day or night would definitely not be completely absorbed by the creatures in the realm of immortals. However, the remaining energy would either be used to form Yang crystals or moon crystals, or sink into the depths of the realm of immortals ocean or land. It wouldn't remain on the surface of the ocean or sea. However, this hot spring mountain range was completely different. Xiao Lingyu didn't immediately enter the state of cultivation. He had to figure out the reason for the strange situation in the hot spring mountain range before he could feel at ease. Therefore, after giving some instructions to Mi Ling and Miaoing, Xiao Lingyu left the cave he was temporarily staying in and went around the hot spring mountain range to investigate. It took about half a year's time for Xiao Lingyu to explore the large mountain range near the temporary cave and finally had some harvest. Through this period of investigation, he could already see that the reason why the hot spring mountain range was always rich with Luna energy was not because the special environment here could retain the energy cast by the 9 suns or the 9 moons, but because the Luna energy hidden deep underground was constantly spewing out here. As for where the energy came from and how it came out, Xiaolingyu still couldn't figure it out, but these were not important. Now that he was back in the cave, he could finally cultivate in peace. While using the array diagram and array to speed up the refining of the chaotic nirvana true fire, Xiaolingyu was also refining the yin-yang tai chi diagram, which could be considered to be fulfilling. In a flash, hundreds of years had passed. Big Sister Gu and Ling had not returned, but an accident happened again. This time, it was not a strong enemy attacking the cave's restriction and array, but 2 balls of flames of different colors that flew to the side of the cave for some reason. One of the 2 balls of flames was bright white, and the other was dark black. The bright white ball was incomparably hot, and the dark black ball was releasing a strange cold that could freeze time and space. They flew around the cave, bringing with them extremely rich Luna and Luna energies. Moreover, the 2 energies collided crazily, constantly creating bursts of explosions and powerful energy shockwaves. Fortunately, the defensive power of the restriction array around the cave was extremely strong, blocking all the energy shockwaves outside. However, the cave was constantly shaking violently. Not only was it difficult for everyone to enter the state of cultivation, but they were also very worried. Helpless, Xiaolingyu braced himself and went out of the cave. He wanted to see what was going on with the 2 balls of flames. Originally, it was very dangerous to come out like this. However, he did not expect that as soon as he came out, he only took one look at the 2 balls of flames. The 2 balls of flames were like frightened little rabbits, their bodies swayed and fled along a path in the cave. The 2 balls of flames fled at an extremely fast speed. After chasing for a while, Xiaolingyu lost his target and could only return to the cave. The 2 balls of flames fled, and the rich 2-element energies around the cave were naturally quickly absorbed by the array diagram and array diagram. The cave's surroundings returned to normal. However, less than 100 years of peace, the 2 balls of flames flew over again and circled around the cave. Xiaolingyu came out again, and the 2 balls of flames fled again. Xiaolingyu returned to the cave for less than 100 years of peace, and the 2 balls of flames actually came again. He could only go out again, this repeated over and over again. Xiaolingyu and his family were very depressed and annoyed, but there was nothing they could do. Anya suggested that they change their location. After all, with Big Sister Gu and Ling-er's abilities, as long as they did not move too far away, they would definitely be able to find them easily. Xiaolingyu agreed with Anya's suggestion. He first looked for a suitable place to settle down, and after setting up the restriction array and array, he brought everyone over. However, before they could live 100 years of peace in their new home, the 2 balls of flames came again. It seems that as long as we are still in this hot spring mountain range, those 2 guys can easily find us. Miao Ingyan said. If that's the case, why don't we return to the original cave? At least there's a restriction array set up by Big Sister Gu. It's much safer than here. Also, when Big Sister Gu and Ling come back, they won't have to waste time looking for us, Jiang Lanchang said. Thus, everyone returned to their cave. But we can't go on like this. Those 2 guys keep coming to disturb us. How can we focus on cultivating? Jiang Lanyue said gloomily. I'm guessing that those 2 guys came because they were attracted by our husband's formation and array, Jiang Lanchang said. Let's stop using the formation and array for a while and take a look at it, Anya suggested. Xiaolingyu listened to Anya's suggestion and stopped using the formation and array. In the blink of an eye, 200 years had passed. They were no longer disturbed by the 2 balls of flames. However, even though it was quiet, they could not speed up their cultivation. I have an idea, Jiang Lanchang said, "Husband, you can set up a few more formations and array in other places to lure those two guys over. That way, they won't bother us anymore." "Good idea." Xiaolingyu's eyes lit up. He happily hugged Jiang Lanyue and kissed her on the cheek. Then, he left the cave to find a suitable place to set up the formation. Just as Jiang Lanchang said, the two flames were indeed attracted to another place by the formation diagram and the magic formation. Xiaolingyu then activated the formation diagram and the magic formation in his cave, but they didn't attract them again. Jiang Lanchang's idea was very effective. In order to ensure that this place would not be disturbed, Xiaolingyu would go out every once in a while to check on the formation and array he had set up. The two balls of flames would immediately run away when they saw Xiaolingyu. However, Xiaolingyu also discovered that a few of the formations and arrays he had set up had been damaged. After careful inspection, he discovered that the formations and arrays were not directly destroyed by force. Instead, it was more like they were gradually collapsing due to the impact of too much energy over a long period of time. Moreover, the energy that attacked them was gathered by the balls of flames themselves. From this, it could be inferred that the two balls of flames would not destroy the formations and arrays. It seemed that they intended to use these formations and arrays to cultivate. Xiaolingyu felt that something was strange. He was not sure what the two balls of flames were thinking. Would they always hide from him? Would they deal with his family after they became stronger? However, at least they were very obedient right now. Moreover, his family would not be living here for a long time, so he did not think too much about it. During this period, he had tried many times to catch up to the two balls of flames or find out where they were hiding. However, because they were much faster than him, he was unable to do so. After another 1,000 years, when Meiling reached the soul nirvana realm with the help of endless resources, Big Sister Gu and Ling finally returned. However, compared to the calmness they had when they returned from treasure hunting in the past, Big Sister Gu and Ling were in a sorry state this time. Big Sister Gu's face was even pale. It was obvious that she had suffered heavy injuries. Chapter 832. From Xiaolingyu's point of view, Big Sister Gu and Ling Er's trip this time, other than obtaining a bottle of nirvana pills, which were of great use to their children, there was nothing special about them. However, since Big Sister Gu could still smile even though she was seriously injured, there must be something else. A prescription. Big Sister Gu seemed to have seen through Xiaolingyu's doubts. She took out a very old and tattered animal skin scroll and said, "A prescription that I've been looking for countless years. This time I've finally found it." Big Sister Gu slowly spread out the animal skin scroll. Xiaolingyu saw more than 10 lines of blurry words. However, the 3 big words at the top of the scroll could be clearly seen if one looked carefully. Star Sky Pill. Just by looking at the name, Xiaolingyu could guess that this was an extremely powerful pill. It should be very useful to astral extreme realm experts. It was probably extremely difficult to refine. This pill can allow a cultivator who has just entered the astral extreme realm to directly move the stars. It's considered one of the most powerful pills in the world of immortals. Big Sister Gu continued to explain, although the astral extreme realm doesn't have a clear division of realms, there are 3 distinct levels. The initial astral extreme realm is called Star Extreme Fire. If you cultivate for a longer time, and if you have enough luck and comprehension, you can gather the power of the stars in a large area with a wave of your hand. This is considered the middle stage of the astral extreme realm. When a cultivator can make the stars appear in daytime with their will, they are considered to have reached the late stage of the astral extreme realm. Speaking till here, Elder Sister Gu paused for a moment, then she continued. The so-called stars in daytime refers to using divine sense to guide the stars in the sky in broad daylight. By resonating with the stars will shine brightly. Under this realm, the practitioners will be able to make the stars in the sky of the world of immortals even more powerful. Furthermore, they will be able to use a large amount of star power in battle. That Shao Tianquan and Black Wind are at this realm. In that case, wouldn't it be even more powerful to move the stars? Jiang Lanchang asked curiously. Of course. Big Sister Gu nodded and said, moving the stars is the characteristic of the peak of the astral extreme realm. Cultivators under this realm can move the stars with a wave of their sleeve. They can even use their powerful divine sense to summon the stars in the sky. They can also instantly gather the power of the stars in a vast area to fight. There are also cultivators who can summon the countless stars in the sky and use their divine sense to refine those stars into treasures. So powerful! Everyone's expression. Of course, of course, of course. Now that we have the star sky pellets formula, Big Sister Gu, you can refine a few more pellets. We can all become top experts, haha. Jiang Lanchang said. Do you think it's that easy to refine the star sky pill? Even if we have the recipe, the ingredients listed on it are all extraordinary. Even if we take a step back and say that we can gather all the ingredients, with my current level of alchemy, the success rate of refining the star sky pill is less than 30%. Big Sister Gu rolled her eyes at Jiang Lanchang and explained unhappily. The reason I want those recipes is mainly to learn some lost refining techniques and increase my knowledge from those recipes. Using this, I can improve my alchemy skills. Actually, this improvement is also to be able to successfully refine the star sky pill. Big Sister Gu answered with a smile. So that's how it is. Xiaolingyu said in understanding. I also have no other choice. With my talent and perception, even if I can reach the realm of changing the stars, I don't know how many years it will take. After all, I'm only at the middle stage of the astral realm. Big Sister Gu said with a calm expression, I can't wait that many years. That's why I set my sights on the star sky pill. With the recipe, the next step is to gather the ingredients listed on it. Xiaolingyu said. After all, I can be considered an alchemy expert. Even if I haven't seen the star sky pill recipe before, I can guess most of the ingredients and have already prepared them. I've already looked through it. Right now, as long as I find 12 more ingredients, I can start refining the star sky pill. Moreover, among these 12 ingredients, only 2 are relatively rare. Although the other 10 are precious, we can still afford them. Big Sister Gu shook her head and said, preparing the ingredients isn't too difficult. The key is that refining the star sky pill requires an extremely high-quality alchemy furnace. A high-quality alchemy furnace can increase the success rate by 20%. Moreover, just having a high-quality alchemy furnace isn't enough. It also requires an extremely powerful true fire. The astral realm expert's brilliant star fire is simply not enough. It seems that finding the recipe is only the beginning. There are still many preparations and plans that need to be made. Xiaolingyu said. The girls, who were originally listening attentively, instantly lost interest and looked rather disappointed. We've already waited for millions and millions of years. It doesn't matter if we wait a little longer. With little Sister Ling, cooperating with me in the future, we'll be able to get anything. Big Sister Gu said with a confident smile. In the next few decades, Big Sister Gu quickly recovered from her heavy injuries to her peak condition with the help of a cup of light green liquid provided by Xiaolingyu. She originally wanted to take Ling on another treasure hunt, but Xiaolingyu stopped her. Before you leave, help us take care of a problem. After saying this, Xiaolingyu brought Big Sister Gu and Ling to a place where there were profound diagrams and magic arrays. She let the two of them meet the 2 balls of flames. Even Big Sister Gu couldn't catch up to the 2 balls of flames without any preparation. They should be formed from 2 different types of fire spirit. The strange thing is, they clearly have 2 different attributes. Why are they always moving together? Big Sister Gu asked suspiciously. Maybe they were only attracted by the magic arrays and diagrams. They weren't always together, Xiaolingyu replied. If it's like what you said, then these two balls of fire spirits aren't that rare. It's just that one of them has the pure yang attribute and the other has the pure moon attribute. There are many such fire spirits in the world of immortals. These two balls of fire spirits are only in the nirvana realm. They aren't that useful. However, I keep feeling that they're together. Moreover, they're obviously only in the nirvana realm, but their speed is so fast that even I can't catch up to them. They're obviously not ordinary fire spirits, Big Sister Gu analyzed with a frown. It doesn't matter what kind of fire spirits they are. What's important is how to expel or destroy them. Otherwise, if they're here, I'll have to come out from time to set up the diagrams and magic arrays. It's really troublesome, Xiaolingyu said. It's easy to deal with them. Let Ling hide near the diagrams and magic arrays. When they get close, Ling will suddenly attack and trap them with the nebula fog. Then we'll attack. We'll definitely be able to capture or kill them, Big Sister Gu said casually. I think so too, Xiaolingyu agreed. Following the plan, Ling hid near the diagrams while Xiaolingyu and Big Sister Gu hid far away in a pitch-black cave. After waiting for less than 2 years, the two balls of strange flames flew over together from a tunnel. Looking at the way the two balls of flames flew together, they looked like a pair of brothers. It didn't look like they came from two different places. It looked more like they were traveling together. Of the two balls of black and white flames, the black one flew above the diagrams while the white one flew into the magic array. They were actually wantonly absorbing the energy gathered by the diagrams and magic arrays. Their bodies kept trembling as if they were enjoying it very much. They didn't notice Ling. After waiting for almost 4 hours, Ling suddenly appeared. She didn't attack the two balls of flames. Instead, she suddenly opened her arms and a thick nebula fog instantly filled the surrounding space. Attack! Big Sister Gu shouted softly and flew into the nebula fog. Xiaolingyu followed behind. Although the nebula fog greatly restricted his divine telekinesis, the two balls of flames were too obvious in the nebula fog. He and Big Sister Gu could easily lock onto their target. After the two balls of flames were suddenly enveloped by the nebula fog, they appeared to be very flustered. They immediately left the diagrams and magic arrays. However, they couldn't find the cave through the thick nebula fog. They couldn't even see the shadow of the cave. They were like headless flies, running around randomly in the nebula fog. Naturally, it was very difficult for them to enter the cave. Big Sister Gu rushed towards the black fire spirit while Xiaolingyu rushed towards the white fire spirit. The two of them instantly arrived in front of their target. Big Sister Gu waved her sleeves and shot out a brilliant starfire to surround the black fire spirit while Xiaolingyu used his golden chaotic nirvana true fire to trap the white fire spirit. Just as Big Sister Gu and Xiaolingyu respectively cast restrictions and prepared to trap their respective targets, the two balls of flames with different colors and attributes actually exploded at the same time after a huge tremor. After the two balls of fire spirits exploded, they turned into countless sparks and scattered. However, they then gathered together. Furthermore, it was a gathering of black and white flames, not a gathering of a single color. They're really together. Big Sister Gu narrowed her eyes. She quickly made her move, sending a series of seals and her starlight extreme fire into the black and white flames that had gathered together. Whoosh! After the black and white flames gathered together, their power immediately increased tremendously. A ferocious aura swept out in an instant and directly pushed Xiaolingyu, Big Sister Gu, and Ling far away. Although they gathered together, the black and white flames seemed to be very timid. After circling for a moment, they aimed at a cave and quickly flew away. They escaped again. Xiaolingyu said gloomily. They won't be able to escape. I've planted a forbidden spell on them. Even if they become much more powerful after merging into one, they won't be able to completely remove the forbidden spell in a short period of time. As Big Sister Goo spoke, she closed her eyes and sensed for a while. Then, she opened her eyes and said, "Follow me." Chapter 833. At this moment, Xiao Lingyu and the other two arrived at the side of an underground river. This underground river was nearly 1,000 feet wide. The current was not very rapid, but it looked like the river was very deep. There were even large balls of magma floating in it. The river water gurgled, and steam rose from the place where there was a large pool of magma. The moon and yang energies here are very rich. The two energies seem to be surging up from here and overflowing into the hot spring mountain range. Big Sister Goo was also very cautious. She led Xiao Lingyu and Ling downstream and said, "The two energies are clearly coming up from downstream. The two strange fire spirits have already gone downstream. Other than the moon and yang energies, I feel that there is an obviously very strong and abnormal energy fluctuation downstream. There might be danger ahead. Why don't I go ahead and scout ahead?" Ling said. "Alright, you have to be careful. If you feel that something is wrong, immediately turn back." Big Sister Goo nodded and said. Ling immediately sped up and hid herself at the same time. After an hour, Ling returned. After she revealed herself, she frowned and said, "There is no danger ahead, but the scene looks very frightening." Under Ling's lead, everyone sped up and rushed along the underground river. Not long after, everyone arrived in front of an abyss. The abyss was the end of the underground river. The underground river continued to move forward and flowed straight down, forming a rumbling waterfall. Standing on the riverbank at the end of the underground river, and looking down into the abyss, one could see that the abyss was only a few thousand feet high. At the bottom of the abyss was a surging river of magma. Looking down from above, the entire river of magma looked like a fiery red dragon. After taking a closer look, Xiao Lingyu and Big Sister Goo felt their scalps go numb. In this part of the river of magma, there was a huge corpse lying horizontally. The corpse was humanoid, but it was over 10,000 feet long and nearly 3,000 feet wide. Its entire body was wrapped in a tattered black iron armor, and it was stuck in the magma river. Its entire body was suffused with white and black light. As for the black and white fire spirits, they were currently circling around the body of the 1,000 feet tall giant corpse with a reluctant look. From time to time, powerful demonic beasts would emerge from the lava river. They would open their bloody mouths to chew on the corpse. However, when they bit down, not to mention tearing off a piece of flesh, they couldn't even harm the corpse at all. As for the black and white fire spirits, they continuously surrounded the 1,000 feet tall giant corpse and chased away the demonic beasts in the lava river. No wonder Linger said that the scene here was a little frightening. "He was probably an extremely powerful expert when he was alive," said Big Sister Goo. "The black and white fire spirits should be his primordial fire when he was alive. Because he died too long ago, the primordial fire's power has decreased too much," said Xiao Lingyu. "No wonder the fire spirits were so fast. Moreover, the power that exploded out the moment they merged was terrifying," said Linger with a nod. "What should we do now?" asked Xiao Lingyu. "We can take away his remains, but leave his corpse here," said Big Sister Goo with a calm expression. Xiao Lingyu knew that Big Sister Goo didn't want to touch the corpse out of respect for the strong and the dead. The fire spirits will definitely not run away again. As Linger spoke, she jumped down to the bottom of the abyss and hid halfway. When Linger appeared again, she was already at the bottom of the abyss. Boundless nebula fog instantly spread out and completely enveloped the section of the river where the corpse was. The black and white fire spirits were anxious. Although they rushed out of the nebula fog again and again, they rushed back in without hesitation. "Let's go down too." With that, Big Sister Goo also floated down. Xiaolingyu followed closely behind Big Sister Gu. After a while, the two of them also entered the nebula fog. Under the cover of the nebula fog, Xiaolingyu and the other two continuously attacked the black and white fire spirit. The black and white fire spirits were obviously too anxious. They kept attacking in the nebula fog. Unfortunately, under Linger's intentional control, the thick nebula fog kept surging around them, causing them to completely lose their sense of direction. They couldn't see their target clearly and could only charge around randomly without causing any damage. After attacking for a while, Big Sister Gu took out special materials and began to set up a formation around them. Xiaolingyu cooperated with her to set up restrictions. After 100 breaths of time, Big Sister Gu and Xiaolingyu worked together to set up an extremely powerful restriction formation. With the help of Linger's nebula fog, the black and white fire spirits were not only trapped, but their range of movement was also becoming narrower and narrower. After the restriction formation started to work, Big Sister Gu went to one of the huge corpse's palms and said calmly, "His storage ring is still here." There was a ring on the ring finger of this palm. The ring's design was simple and simple. It should be an extremely high-quality storage treasure. Xiaolingyu didn't move. Big Sister Gu released her power and soul power into the ring. The ring then released a burst of starlight energy that enveloped Big Sister Gu. After 20 breaths of time, the ring suddenly trembled and automatically fell off the ring finger of the palm. It flew into Big Sister Gu's finger. Now that the storage treasure was in their hands, all that was left was to deal with the black and white fire spirits. The black and white fire spirits were already trapped by the restriction formation. Big Sister Gu frowned and said, "This fire spirit is the fusion of two primordial fires. It's only suitable for you. Among us, only you can refine it. Fortunately, it's a fire spirit and not a real primordial fire. Otherwise, it could easily kill us with just this primordial fire." Xiaolingyu nodded and said, "Let's trap it for a while first to wear down its temper. When it's desperate and docile, it should be much easier to refine." Big Sister Gu didn't raise any objections. The three of them continued to use their techniques to trap and attack the black and white fire spirit. Big Sister Gu also started to check the collection in the storage ring. "These stones should be useful to you." Big Sister Gu handed a storage bag to Xiaolingyu. Xiaolingyu used her divine will to take a look. She was stunned. "These are all primal chaos origin stones," Xiaolingyu said in surprise. There were countless gray stones in the storage bag. They contained extremely rich primal chaos origin force. "They're primal chaos heavenly crystals," Big Sister Gu corrected. "They are indeed useful to me. However, with so many primal chaos heavenly crystals, it's enough to prove that this expert was probably a primal chaos cultivator like me when he was alive," Xiaolingyu said calmly. "Haha, that's not important. What's important is that these primal chaos heavenly crystals are indeed very useful to you." Big Sister Gu smiled and said, "He really has a lot of collection. However, there aren't any finished product. There are only a lot of high-quality materials. One of them is an important material that I lack to refine the Star Dome pill. In this way, among the materials needed to refine the Star Dome pill, there's only one rarer material that I haven't obtained yet." Big Sister Gu only needed the materials to refine the Star Dome pill. Therefore, she transferred most of the materials in the storage ring to Xiaolingyu. As for the storage ring, although it was obviously of a very high grade, it was only a storage Dharma treasure. Everyone was not lacking in storage Dharma treasures, so Big Sister Gu did not give it to Xiaolingyu. Xiaolingyu then checked the materials one by one. However, he did not find anything that he needed. More than a month passed like this. The sealed black and white fire spirits appeared to be very weak. They were already floating in the restriction array and were motionless. "It's time." Xiaolingyu released his primal chaos nirvana true fire and wrapped it around the black and white fire spirit. His blood essence, soul essence, and primal chaos origin force continuously seeped into the restriction array and began to refine the fire spirits. Perhaps it was because it was already too weak, or perhaps it felt that the aura of Xiaolingyu's primal chaos nirvana true fire was more intimate. The black and white fire spirits did not resist the refinement. They even intended to cooperate and fuse with the primal chaos nirvana true fire. The refinement was completed in less than 10 days. The black and white fire spirits fused with the primal chaos nirvana true fire, causing the golden primal chaos nirvana true fire to turn into a dark gray color. However, what Xiaolingyu did not expect was that as soon as he put away the primal chaos nirvana true fire and Big Sister Gu removed the restriction array, a demonic beast with a huge body and a fierce aura rushed over from the upper reaches of the lava river. This was nothing. The most important thing was that when the demonic beast got close, it bit off one of the huge corpse's palms and started to chew. A foodie. Linger frowned and said. The demonic beast looked like a large pangolin. However, there were scales on its back. There were also 7 strange light spots on the scales. The sides of its back were covered with fur. Who else could it be but a foodie? As the foodie chewed, it raised its head to look at Xiaolingyu and the others. When its gaze swept over Xiaolingyu, it was immediately stunned and its mouth stopped moving. However, the foodie was only stunned for a moment. Then, as if it did not recognize Xiaolingyu and the others, it began to chew on the huge corpse again. You know this guy? Big Sister Gu asked. I do. Before I ascended to the world of immortals, it had always been with me. It was my most capable helper. Xiaolingyu nodded and said, ascending to immortality will indeed cause people to be separated. However, it doesn't seem to be excited to see you, its master. Big Sister Gu was puzzled. There is a story between us. It once almost killed me in a sealed place. Xiaolingyu said. Betrayed its master? Then you should be able to destroy it with a thought. Big Sister Gu was still very confused. Hee. Xiaolingyu could only laugh bitterly. It really does live up to its name. A foodie. Big Sister Gu frowned and said as she watched the foodie quickly devouring the huge corpse. It did not seem to be satisfied at all. Perhaps it felt uncomfortable with someone watching it, or perhaps it could not eat anymore. The foodie opened its mouth and swallowed the rest of the corpse into its stomach. Then, it ran directly along the river of lava. However, after running a few hundred feet, it turned back to look at Xiaolingyu. Chapter 834. The foodie turned around and Xiaolingyu waved her hand. Both of them had a deeper meaning. However, not only Big Sister Gu, but even Ling who had followed Xiaolingyu for many years, did not understand. The reluctance to turn around and the helplessness to wave her hand. Since it's no longer your battle pet and has tried to harm you, you should kill it. That fellow has an extraordinary physique, and will become a great person sooner or later. If you don't kill it now, I'm afraid you won't be able to kill it in the future even if you want to. If it fights with you and doesn't care about your past relationship, it will be a huge problem. Big Sister Gu reminded her kindly, just like Emperor Yan's reminder. It wanted to kill me back then because it was blinded. Xiaolingyu shook her head and said, now that it's awake, it should return to your side, Big Sister Gu said matter-of-factly. But I suspect it. I suspect that it's a chess piece that someone placed beside me to ensure that it can be killed at any time. That's why I'm worried, Xiaolingyu said honestly. Big Sister Gu frowned and said, isn't that a little too unreliable? It looks like a type of heavenly star beast, but it's obviously much more noble than ordinary heavenly star beasts. Look at its powerful devouring and digestive abilities, and it seems to have a chaotic aura around it. It might be a type of heavenly demon, and not an ordinary one. This kind of tyrannical existence is nurtured by the heavens and earth through countless years of accumulation of luck. Who can use it? I'm not sure either. In any case, it used to be very loyal to me. That time, it suddenly lost its mind and tried to kill me. It made me feel that it was by my side and I couldn't be at ease. However, I don't have enough evidence to prove my guess, so I could only give it back its freedom and let it go out alone, Xiaoling said helplessly. I hope you won't become enemies in the future. Let's go back. With this matter settled, Big Sister Gu immediately flew towards the cave where Xiaoling and her family were. After returning to the cave, Big Sister Gu said to Xiaoling, with the help of the fire spirit, your primordial fire will increase very quickly and become very powerful. You might even be able to satisfy the primordial fire needed to refine the Star Vault pill. It would be great if that's the case. Xiaoling nodded. Big Sister Gu then brought Ling out. This time, they went out to search for treasures, purchase the remaining materials to refine the Star Dome pill, and help Ling find a chance to advance. Without the disturbance of the fire spirit, the cave was naturally even quieter. The profound array diagrams and arrays were constantly gathering the moonlight attribute energy from the large area to help everyone speed up their cultivation. Just as Big Sister Gu had said, with the help of the fire spirit, Xiaoling's refining speed of the primal chaotic nirvana true fire had increased by a lot. Moreover, this increase was not only an increase in quantity, but also in quality. The improvement of the primal chaotic nirvana true fire allowed Xiaoling to absorb the primal chaotic origin force from the primal chaotic heavenly crystal into his body. The speed of refining it had also increased by a lot. The nirvana true fire was too important to a nirvana realm cultivator. As long as the nirvana true fire continued to increase, the cultivator's strength would also increase smoothly. Xiaoling's primal chaotic nirvana true fire finally no longer turned from silver to gold like ordinary nirvana true fire. Instead, it directly turned into a gray chaotic color. It probably would not change again in the future. With the help of the fire spirit, Xiaoling wholeheartedly improved the primal chaotic nirvana true fire by a large margin. After that, he used the improved primal chaotic nirvana true fire to refine his body. Similarly, he did not prepare any other materials. However, he did not dare to use the light green liquid mist to ensure that his body would not be destroyed. Instead, he continuously drank the light green liquid in large mouthfuls during the process of refining his body. After the light green liquid entered his body, it immediately turned into a cool and strange energy that protected and nourished Xiaoling's entire body. At the same time, it strengthened and strengthened his life force. After the refinement of his body, the toughness and strength of his body were no longer weaker than ordinary extreme star realm experts. After all, his primal chaotic nirvana true fire was no weaker than ordinary brilliant star fire. The nirvana true fire was comparable to the brilliant star fire. This was something that ordinary nirvana realm cultivators did not even dare to think about. However, what surprised Xiaoling was that he did not know whether it was because the huge corpse had been swallowed by the foodie, or because the black and white fire spirits had been captured by him, or because of other reasons. The hot spring mountain range no longer had the moon and sun energy surging out at all times. Instead, there was only yang energy during the day and moon energy at night. This caused the cultivation speed of Xiaoling's family to drop by a lot. However, because his family was too rich and had endless cultivation resources, their cultivation speed had already far surpassed ordinary cultivators. Every one of them could be considered a peerless genius in the outside world. They did not really care about how high their cultivation was. Ling and Big Sister Gu did not go out for long this time and returned. Apart from bringing back a large amount of treasures as usual, they also brought back a piece of news. The Star Pavilion, Sword Pavilion, Ocean Pavilion, and Thunder Pavilion, the four peak powers of the realm of immortals, had organized countless large and small forces to prepare to build the grandest city in the realm of immortals between the demonic abyss and the heavenly star forest. As long as one was a cultivator of the realm of immortals and above, one could live in the city. In order to attract experts to live in the city for a long time, the four peak powers simultaneously promised that even if there were experts who had enmity with them in the past, as long as they live in the new city for a long time, all of their past enmity will be written off. Moreover, not only are there no fees to live in the new city for a long time, the cultivators can also go to the city lord's mansion to receive a certain amount of subsidies according to their cultivation and the length of time they live in the new city. Big Sister Gu said, "The treatment is that good? There must be something wrong with this, right?" Xiaoling Yu asked. Actually, I can guess that the reason why they want to build this new city is mainly to attract experts from the Immortals' mainland to live there for a long time and keep an eye on the demonic abyss. The new city is not far from the Heavenly Star Forest. It can also be used as the vanguard to monitor the Heavenly Star Forest. Big Sister Gu said with a smile. Big Sister's meaning is that we should live there for a long time? Xiaoling Yu followed up and asked. That's right. Big Sister Gu nodded and said, "Firstly, we can resolve our enmity with the Southern Star Pavilion and remove the Southern Star Pavilion's pursuit of us. Secondly, the new city will inevitably rise rapidly and become the most prosperous city in the realm of immortals. It will be beneficial for us to cultivate and communicate with other cultivators. Thirdly, it is closer to the Heavenly Star Forest. It will make it much more convenient for us to enter the Heavenly Star Forest. It will also be beneficial for us to find companions and enter the Heavenly Star Forest to hunt Heavenly Star beasts together. The most important thing is, we don't have to wander all over the place anymore." Jiang Lanchang interrupted. "The demonic abyss hell, this name doesn't sound like a blessed place. The new city is too close to the demonic abyss hell." Xiaoling Yu said noncommittally. "The demonic abyss hell is indeed a dangerous place. In the past, there were countless demons living there. However, many years ago, the peak experts of the realm of immortals went down there many times and wiped out all the demons there. Now, only the evil spirits left behind by the demons are still roaming there. Those evil spirits are also quite strong, but for countless years, they didn't dare to come to the surface. There is nothing to be afraid of." Big Sister Gu shook her head and explained. "Didn't they say that Senior Xiao Tian brought the lightning spirit to the evil spirit island? He also said that there is a possibility that the evil spirit demon lord will be released." Xiaoling Yu still had a worried expression. "Let's not talk about whether that damn dog is really as I guessed. Even if it is, it would be extremely difficult to release the evil spirit demon lord. It would take no less than 10 million years. Taking a step back, even if the evil spirit demon lord was released, he probably wouldn't dare to go to a place like the new city where countless Star Realm experts gather." Big Sister Gu said nonchalantly. "What's the point of thinking so much? Let's go take a look first. If things really don't go well, we can just go somewhere else. We don't have any good choices right now anyway," Jiang Lanchang said. Seeing that the girls and children were somewhat moved, Xiaoling Yu didn't ask any more questions. Big Sister Gu led everyone out of the hot spring mountain range. Then, she took out a round bowl-shaped treasure and flew towards the Heavenly Star Forest. Along the way, Big Sister Gu first introduced everyone to the Star Pavilion, Sea Pavilion, Sword Pavilion, and Thunder Pavilion. Then, she answered everyone's questions. Then, she talked to Xiaoling Yu about restriction formations, pill refinement, and tool refinement. Originally, the closer they got to the Heavenly Star Forest, the fewer traces of cultivators they saw. However, as the round bowl-shaped treasure flew, they would always see streaks of light streaking across the sky. It seemed that the news had already spread, and many cultivators were tempted by the benefits of the new city. Even with the round bowl-shaped treasure's extreme speed, It still took them a few thousand years to reach the edge of the heavenly star forest. Then, Big Sister Gu adjusted her direction and flew for close to 20 years before finally stopping in front of a grand city. The periphery of the heavenly star forest didn't look any different from a normal forest. However, this city was very different from a normal city. The city walls weren't tall, but the entire city was surrounded by clouds and mist. If one looked closely, they would discover that the city wasn't in contact with the ground. There were clouds and mist several hundred feet in the middle. It looked like these clouds and mist were holding up the entire city. However, everyone could see with a glance that there was an extremely powerful restriction formation set up between the city and the ground. The reason why the city was able to stay in the air forever wasn't because of the clouds and mist, but because of the restriction formation's power. Looking at the city gate on this side, it was also a tall and wide restriction-like gate. There were 2 rows of experts guarding it. Those 2 rows of experts all had cultivations above the Qi realm. On the armchair closest to the restriction-light gate, there seemed to be an extreme astral realm expert sitting there. The cultivators who wanted to enter the city formed a long line. Before every cultivator entered the city, they had to say a few words to the old man on the armchair. Then, the old man would make some record. Looking up at the stone plaque above the city gate, there were the 2 words, New City. It seemed that this city's name was New City. It was very simple and very appropriate. Chapter 835. Big Sister Gu didn't receive the news too early. Although there were still many empty spaces in the new city, they were all relatively remote. Luckily, Xiaolingyu's family liked peace and quiet, so they didn't mind staying in a secluded place. In a corner less than 1,000 feet away from the city wall in the northern part of the city, Xiaolingyu chose a relatively spacious space and prepared to build her home there. However, she soon learned that because there were too many cultivators from the longevity realm coming to the city, cultivators above the 9th celestial layer and nirvana realm cultivators could obtain free land use rights to a radius of 10 feet, while extreme star realm cultivators could only obtain a radius of 20 feet. It was obvious that even if they accumulated all the available land, there wasn't much space. It was only enough to build a small courtyard. Moreover, Xiaolingyu's 6 children hadn't reached the nirvana realm. Not only could they not obtain free land, but they also weren't qualified to live in the new city. If they wanted the 6 children to live in the city, they had to pay a fee to the city lord mansion. However, this fee was insignificant to Xiaolingyu's family. As long as the children reached the physical puppet realm, they didn't have to pay any more. Xiaolingyu didn't have any objections to this. If you want a larger area of land, you can also purchase it here. You only need to pay 200,000 yang crystals for a radius of 10 feet, said a deacon of the city lord mansion. We want all of this land. Fellow Taoist, please calculate how many yang crystals we need. Xiaolingyu pointed at the map on the long wooden table in front of her. Isn't this too much? The deacon was surprised. Can't we buy that much? Jiang Lanchang asked. There is a rule. Nirvana realm cultivators can only buy a radius of 10 feet at most. Extreme star realm cultivators can buy a radius of 100 feet at most. Beyond this limit, the price will double for every additional 100 feet. Fellow Taoist, you don't have to explain so much to us. As long as we can buy it, you only need to give us a price. Big Sister Gu waved her hand and said, Wait a moment, let me calculate. The deacon first calculated the size of the area marked by Xiaolingyu, and then did some calculations and said, The total cost is 380 million yang crystals. After saying this number, even the deacon who was at the nascent nirvana realm felt like this number was too big. However, Big Sister Gu casually threw a storage bag on the table and said generously, There are 400 million yang crystals in here. Fellow Taoist, please hurry up with the procedures. The remaining 20 million will be a reward for your hard work. The attendant sank his consciousness into his storage pouch to count the amount. After a while, he said, "How could I accept senior's payment?" The treasures left behind in those cave abodes were now either placed in the courtyard or in the hall. In particular, there were all kinds of extremely high-grade and even rare exotic flowers and herbs. They covered every corner of the courtyard, making the entire courtyard luxurious and full of vitality. In any case, Xiao Lingyu's family, whether it was his wife or his children, were extremely satisfied with their new home. At this moment, they were decorating every corner of the courtyard and every room. It could be said that they were really busy and bustling with activity. "We finally have a stable home." Looking at the busy figures of his wives and the scene of his children shouting and chasing each other in the courtyard, Xiao Lingyu was very gratified. However, he also knew that this home was not obtained through his own efforts. It was the credit of Ling Er and Big Sister Gu. The new city was the same as Xiao Lingyu's courtyard. It was still in the period of construction and appeared to be very lively. There was an endless stream of cultivators from the longevity realm coming over. Everyone was complaining that the city lord's mansion was too small. They were also envious and jealous of the large courtyards. There were also many cultivators who had already bought a lot of land. They were doing business and making a lot of money. After all, with the passage of time, it wouldn't be long before even people with rich families could not buy a piece of land, let alone a more ideal piece of land. Xiao Lingyu's family had enough yang crystals to buy a large piece of land and then sell it at a high price to earn yang crystals. However, their family's wealth was enough for them to squander freely. They were too lazy to waste time on business. However, what Xiao Lingyu's family did not expect was that perhaps because their courtyard was too grand and magnificent, many cultivators in the city thought that they were from a rich and powerful family. Therefore, less than 3 days after their courtyard was built, cultivators came to visit them one after another. It was naturally a good thing to have guests. Although everyone just wanted to live a peaceful life, since they wanted to take root in this new city, it was not good to offend the neighbors. Therefore, Xiao Lingyu politely invited the guests into the courtyard and entertained them in a living room. When the guests saw the luxurious style of the courtyard, they were even more certain that this was a rich and powerful family. Otherwise, they would not be able to afford this. After exchanging a few words with Xiao Lingyu, they unabashedly expressed their desire to join the Xiao family. Ordinary rogue cultivators wanted to find a backer and rely on a force. It was very normal in the cultivation world. However, Xiao Lingyu, who had no intention of forming a force, could only warmly entertain them and politely send them out of the Xiao family's courtyard. Chapter 836. Xiao Lingyu discussed with his wives again. Anya and the others didn't seem to care about whether or not they should form a small force. They expressed their disinterest. "No matter what decision you make, we'll support you." To put it bluntly, what his wives meant was, you decide for yourself. Xiao Lingyu finally understood the helplessness and depression of being the head of a family. After thinking about it carefully, Xiao Lingyu had a plan. He felt that he should indeed form a force. Right now, Worryless mainly relied on Big Sister Gu and the howling celestial dog. However, these two astral realm experts weren't very close to him, so they couldn't always follow him. Once they left, his family definitely wouldn't be as comfortable as they were now. The howling celestial dog had clearly stated that once it completed its mission, it would go to the ancient Star Road to find its original owner. Although Big Sister Gu didn't say it clearly, Xiao Lingyu could guess that if she refined and consumed the Star Sky Pill, she would most likely go to the ancient Star Road to find her husband after reaching the star-shifting realm. Thus, Xiao Lingyu discussed with Myling again. "You can decide on this matter. If you need me, I won't refuse," Myling said sincerely. With our current level, we definitely can't recruit astral realm experts. However, even if astral realm experts want to join, we wouldn't dare to accept them. Thus, I feel that we should recruit more cultivators above the Nirvana soul realm. We don't need too many, just enough to form a large group, Xiaoling said. Actually, rather than recruiting a few stragglers and slowly getting used to each other, why don't we just recruit a large group that has been working together for many years? This way we can save a lot of trouble and effort, Myling suggested. Then let's walk around the city and see if we can find suitable ones, Xiaoling nodded. In the next few days, Xiaoling first set up the profound diagrams and formations at the cultivation areas of his family and friends to speed up their cultivation. Then, he left the courtyard with Myling and wandered around the new city. He didn't find any suitable targets, but Xiaoling received a piece of news. The Star Pavilion, Sword Pavilion, Ocean Pavilion, and Thunder Pavilion were preparing to jointly hold a grand auction in the new city. This would strengthen the communication between cultivators, and at the same time, promote the new city. The news of the auction had already spread throughout the new city. Under the joint operation of the four peak forces, the news would quickly spread throughout the world of immortals. For the sake of being able to gather even more experts to attend the auction this time, the four great powers had naturally taken out numerous precious and rare treasures. The Castellan's mansion can't come up with so many yang crystals in such a short time, so they only gave us 50 billion yang crystals. How much is 50 billion? Jiang Lanchang was stunned. A lot. Piling them up can fill up a big lake. Placing them on a plain can create a continuous mountain range, Big Sister Gu said vividly. We're rich. Jiang Lanchang clapped his hands repeatedly, looking like a money grubber. However, in order to maximize the effect of the auction would only start more than 3,000 years later. After all, many experts were too far away from the new city. Even if they rushed over immediately after receiving the news, they would not be able to arrive in such a short time. With nothing to do, Xiaoling and Myling continued to look for suitable targets in the new city. When the treasures were put up for auction, they would receive 30% of the base price. With so many cultivators putting up their treasures for auction, even if the four top forces were extremely rich, they were gradually overwhelmed. After all, they had countless disciples and needed a lot of yang crystals to maintain a large force. The amount of yang crystals they could take out was not a lot, and it was impossible for them to put more than half of them into an auction. In order for the auction to proceed smoothly, the four top forces began to borrow money. What Xiaoling did not expect was that they would come to her house first. Big Sister Gu was very generous. She directly lent the 50 billion yang crystals to the City Lord's mansion, and the City Lord's mansion promised to return an additional 5 billion yang crystals when the time came. The interest of 10% was not low, but Big Sister Gu did not care about this little interest. She was more concerned about the favor the City Lord's mansion owed her. The City Lord's mansion could not hold on so quickly because the deposit they paid to Big Sister Gu was too high. However, as long as the auction was completed smoothly, they would earn more. With the support of 50 billion yang crystals, the pressure on the City Lord's mansion was greatly reduced. The news of the City Lord's mansion borrowing money from the Shao clan somehow spread. For a time, all the cultivators in the new city were amazed by the Shao clan's financial resources. They did not know that the 50 billion yang crystals that the Shao clan took out were actually from the City Lord's mansion. Borrowing money was only one of the ways the City Lord's mansion solved the problem. In order to gather more yang crystals to prepare for the auction, they had stopped giving away free land in the new city. Cultivators who wanted to live in the new city would have to buy land from their own pocket. Moreover, the price was much more expensive than before.